Close the doors of your mind. Close the gates of your mind. Close the gates of your palace, your ba'ith, your ohal, your ohel, your tent, your mishkan, your mikdash, your haikal, the place that you purified, the place that you set apart for Yahuwah Elohim. Bring your mind to center. Bring your thoughts to center. Bring your heart and your mind, your yetzer, your imaginations on this 364-day cycle according to the 7 celestial circles, and bring it to balance within yourself. For today is a day of freedom. Today is a day that Yahuwah has given to us as a second Chag Matsah, even the last day, but as an understanding of what it means to walk even as Yahushua walked, who did no sin, whose life was unleavened, neither was deceit found in his mouth. For he walked in equitable value to all people who he came in contact with. And everything that he exemplified was all by many proofs that one may understand who he is according to in his totality. For today we acknowledge the one who made all the heart of the earth, all the rivers and streams under the earth, all the rivers and streams and mountains on top of the earth, and all the rivers and streams that flow from his throne. The one who sits at the highest above all the highest mountain in the sides of the north, Yahuwah Elohim, who rules over Zaphon, Yahuwah Elohim. So as we move forward in this 364-day cycle, as we move forward in this 3-month cycle, even going towards the longest day, we move towards him in a understanding of what shalom is, and also in an understanding of what it means to grow and be Nahamada'ah within ourselves. Right, so this is the 21st Yom of the second month, the month of flowers, the month of Zu. They say the month of Ziv. All the blooms are now taking place, and as you can see throughout you see the insectoids, you see everything flying around looking for something to do, even as work is done, as the insectoids have work, and even as the flowers and all the trees have work. And through this work, one has to accomplish things that they must accomplish. And they all do it as servants toward Yahuwah. Right, so we got 35 days since the 16th day or the 17th day of the first Chag Matsah, Feast of Unleavened Bread, when Yahushua rose on the 3rd day of Chag Matsah, Feast of Unleavened Bread and we're 35 days since now. And we're 34 days since Yahushua appeared in the house with his disciples and revealed himself on the 4th day of Chag Matsah, right? That's the 18th day of the first Chag Matsah. Now we're 26 days since Bakur waving the sheaf, waving the Omer on the 49-day count, going toward the 50th day. Is 23 days left in the count. Amazingly, we're 26 days, and that equals to Yahuwah, and this is the 21st day of the second month on the last day of Chag Matsah. And all this is a part, and there's 23 days left in the count. Right? When you look at the first letter of the alphabet, you look at the aleph, that's 1, and you look at the 22nd letter, that's 22, the 2. Sign, signature, exit, 4 corners, which equals to 23. Aleph and the 2. All this is on this day. And we look at all these things, say we are now on the Chag Matsah, the second Feast of Unleavened Bread, the 21st day of the second month. And all this is all a part of the understanding of it. So you add up 35, 34, and 26. From the time Yahushua rose, appeared, and we waved the sheaf, that's 95. 9 plus 5 is 14. The 14th letter of the alphabet is Nun, which means life, resprout, and it also means continual. Right? Because this is continual. And 1 plus 4 equals 5. The 5th letter of the alphabet is light, or, because the commandment is a lamp and the teaching is light. Right? You add up all of the different numbers. 35 equals to 8. 3 plus 5 is 8. 3 plus 34. 3 plus 4 equals to 7. And 26 equals to 8, right? All that happens, right? And then you get what? 23, right? Same thing. 23 days left in the count. All that in one little thing, right? And you add up 23 equals to 5, right? You add up both equals to 10. 10th letter of the alphabet is the yod, right? And it's open right hand. And all this is moving towards the longest day, toward the 50th day. And that's today. Right, so this is the book of Acts, chapter 1 and 1. Acts chapter 1, 1 through 4. In the first book, O Theophilus, I have dealt with all that Yahushua began to do and teach, until the day when he was taken up, after he had given commandment through the Qahalath Ruach to the Shalakim whom he had chosen. So he chose 12 Shalakim. And had he not chose 12 Shalakim, he would not fulfill Torah. And being that he would not have fulfilled Torah, we would not have any opportunity at eternal life. Because he had things to do while he was here, before he left. And had he not fulfilled it, you would not understand anything. And as verse 3 says, he presented himself alive to them after his suffering by many proofs, right? He had to prove it, because the Yahudim are stubborn. Right? You do anything that comes to Torah, they stubborn. They stubborn in believing, they stubborn in their heart and their mind, they stubborn in their thoughts. So anything you try to had to prove it to them. There's no way you can prove it to them without all the different writings and understanding of what it is. Appearing to them during 40 days. So 40 days he had to do it, and it was all fulfillment. So he had rose on the third day, and he had to fulfill 40 days. And if man and woman don't understand it, you're not going to understand it. It'll be veiled from you. It's just like going in the Kodesh Kodeshim, and they have the veil over the temple in between going towards into the unknown parts, and you ain't gonna understand it. Your face will be veiled. He said your eyes will be veiled. You will blind your eyes. And speaking about the Malkuth of Yahuwah, because the Malkuth of Yahuwah is within you. That's all he's talking about, your inward man. And while staying with them, he ordered them not to depart from Jerusalem. So he's telling you not to depart from Jerusalem with the 12 gates. Because he got 12 Shalakim, and then he got 12 gates. Right? But to wait for the promise of the Father, because the promise of the Kohanim is Yahuwah. And not only the Yahuwah, but also the promise, which he said, you heard from me, because the Kohanim had to properly cleanse themselves on the first day to the 16th day of the first month. And if they didn't do it, they had to do it and if they didn't do it in the first month, they had to do it in the second month. You have heard from me, for Yehukanan immersed with Ma'im, right? That's when they came out of Mizraim. They purified themselves. Many came out. They were all under the cloud and immersed under the sea, and went through a wall of water on the left and the right. But you will be immersed with the Qahalath Ruach not many days from now. So why is this important? Because everything's important, right? This is the book of Bereshit, Genesis chapter 7, 11 through 21. In the 600th year of Nuach's life, in the second month, that's what we're in right now. In the 17th day of the month, right, we're on the 21st day. We started second Chag Matsah on the 15th day. So if you didn't do Chag Matsah on the 14th day in between the suns, and you didn't start Chag Matsah on the 15th day, this doesn't even apply to you. Why? Because you're not even understanding what's going on. Because you're not even registered. You're not even registered in the Shamayim. You're not even registered to be in the Malkuth of Yahuwah. On the 17th day of the month, on that day, all the fountains of the great deep burst forth, and the windows of Shamayim were open. So, picture yourself in this time right now. You would perish if you didn't keep second Chag Matsah and you didn't do what Yahuwah told you to do. You would perish if he was going to destroy the earth with a flood. You would die. You wouldn't even be in the ark. And the rain fell upon the earth 40 days and 40 nights. Now you see why Yahushua was here for 40 days and 40 nights. People say, why he here for 40 days and 40 nights? Because you need to understand this. Because he said, why he here for 40 days and 40 nights? He had to prove it. He said, I got to prove this to you. On the very same day, Nuach and his sons, Shem, Ham, and Yafat, and Nuach's wife, and the 3 wives of his son were with them into the ark. Why? Because that's what if a woman has to follow. If she doesn't, she's not going to be saved. She's not getting in the kingdom, Malkuth. If she doesn't, he said, if they don't get away, he said, and get away from their stubbornness and their heart and their mind and their stubborn shoulders, then guess what? They will never get in. They and every beast according to its kind, and all the livestock according to their kind, and every creeping thing that creeps on the earth according to its kind, and every bird according to its kind, every winged creature. They went into the ark with Nuach, 2 and 2 of all flesh. Right? How many pasaks we got? 2. You did the first one, and now you got a second one. He said 2 and 2 of all flesh, right? Isn't that what they did in the first one? In which there was the breath of life. Now you see why Yahushua cried out twice in totality. He said, why he cried out twice? My Elohim, why hast thou forsaken me? And then the second time he cried out, and he gave up the Ruach. He gave up the breath of life. And this is verse 16. And those that entered, male and female of all flesh. Why? Because man and woman. Why? Because this is all a part of salvation. They all registered. This is what we talked about in Bamidbar, Numbers chapter 9. They all registered in the second month. Nuach or Mushah had calculated and registered every single person. It's the same thing. It said, went in as Yahuwah had commanded him. See, now you see why Yahushua said, don't leave Jerusalem. Don't you leave. Don't you get out the ark. And Yahuwah shut him in. Don't you leave Jerusalem. And don't you get out the ark. Now you see why. The flood continued 40 days on the earth. Now you see why he here. He said, so why? He said the flood, right? So this is Matthew chapter 7. Matthew chapter 7. This is Matthew chapter 7, verse 21. Matthew chapter 7 and verse 21. Matthew chapter 7 and verse 21. He said, not everyone who says to me, Master, Master, will enter the Malkuth of Shamayim. Not everybody gonna get in the ark. Because you know why? Because they didn't properly cleanse themselves according to the sanctuary. They didn't properly cleanse themselves according to the customs of the sanctuary. But the one who does the will of my Father who is in Shamayim, because they didn't properly cleanse themselves according to the sanctuary. On that day, they will say to me, Master, Master, did we not nabba in your name? Yeah, we did it all unclean acts. Remember, they still did the Pesach in the first time, and they didn't properly cleanse themselves, the priests and the Kohanim. And he sprinkled the blood on them. And guess what he also said? On that day, they will say to me, Master, Master, did we not nabba, prophesy in your name? Did we not cast out demons in your name? Did we not do many mighty works in your name? See, that's what they don't understand. You can still cast out Shadim and still be evil as heck. Because Judas had power to cast out demons too. And just like all the other people that even Kav, who he told, get behind me, Satan, had power to cast out demons. So that don't mean you can cast out demons. Anybody cast out demons in Yahushua's name, right? But that don't mean you're gonna get in the Malkuth though. See, that's the difference between understanding and stupidity. It says, and on that day they will say to me, Master, did we not nabba in your name, cast out demons, and do many mighty works in your name? Man, we did all these works, things that nobody else did on earth, man. And you think about that. You do all that. Think about you do all that. Cast out demons. Mighty works. Nah, but you still gonna get in the Malkuth. Think about that. Think about it. I mean, you wasted your life. And guess what? And cast out demons in your name and do many mighty works in your name. Then I will declare to them, I never knew you. He said, I don't even know you. He said, I don't know you. You got all that. I don't even know you. Depart from me, you workers of lawlessness. Why? Because what was according to the law? How did they cleanse themselves according to the sanctuary? How they had to present themselves to Yahuwah on the first and second Pesach? How they had to do it? And everybody had to be registered in the Shamayim, because that was your registration, the first Pesach. And if you ain't do it, what happened? Going to verse 24. Everyone, and now you see after that it says, verse 24. Everyone who hears this word of mine and does them, so you got to do it. How you get the pardon? How you get in the ark? How do you get in? You got to do it. Everyone who hears these words of mine and does them will be like a wise man. So Nuach was a wise man, which means he did what Yahuwah said, as Yahuwah commanded him. And he was a wise man. And guess what he did? Who has built his house on a rock? Because he did it. And the rain fell and the floods came. Didn't they come right here? The rain is coming and the floods came. The windows of Shamayim is open. And guess what happened? And the winds blew and beat on the house. Oh, you mean on the ark. But it did not fall because it had been founded upon a rock. Because they were doers of the word, not hearers only, deceiving their own self. Because you are a doer of the word and not hearers only, deceiving your own self. And therefore you have a pardon. And guess what? You have kafar on the ark. Because that's how you got kafar on the ark. That's what that word means. What do you mean that? What do you mean he got a kafar? You got a pardon. He got a pardon. Nuach got a pardon because he did what Yahuwah said. So therefore, you just do what Yahuwah said, and guess what you get? A pardon. And those who don't, get ready. The water's still going, and we're only on the second month, 21st day of the second month. And guess what? Nobody know what's gonna happen. Nobody knows. And guess what? But it did not fall because it found a rock. And everyone who hears these words of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man. And he say a foolish man who built his house on the sand, because he despised wisdom and nurture. Therefore your wives are wicked and your wives are foolish and your children wicked, because they not even in the ark. Because you didn't do Pesach. And being that you ain't do it, and you didn't register your family in the Shemaims, now guess what you just did? And guess what? Who built his house in the sand? Now you in the sand. You know where you at. You know how Nuach said, you know the water, you can make this water pass the sand. You know, it's a sandbar right here, but Yahuwah has a commandment that says the water don't pass the sand. But he can take that commandment away. And guess what? And the rain fell, and the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat on that house, and it fell, and great was the fall. He said, you're going to fall. And this is all a part of it. That's why he told you in Revelations, he said what? Remember where you have fallen. Right, so we're going back to Bereshit, Genesis chapter 7 and 17. The flood continued 40 days on the earth. So where we at? In the ark with Yahushua Mashiach. That's what you in. The waters increased and bore up the ark. They said the water started to increase and it rose above the earth. Right, just same thing when Yahushua Mashiach, he said, the son of Adam be lifted up. I'm going to draw all people to myself. So now he's rising up just because all the people put him up on totality on the cross. And they were above him in Matthew 27. And they were mocking him and deriding him, saying, you king of the Malach of the Yahudim, you Nuach. Come down from the cross, Nuach, and we'll believe in you. Didn't they mock Nuach when he was building the ark? They mocked Nuach too when he was building the ark. The same thing they did to Yahushua Mashiach. The waters prevailed and increased greatly on the earth, and the ark floated on the face of the waters, just like the Ruach moved upon the face of the waters, because he followed the Ruach. Going to Bereshit, Genesis chapter 1 and 1. Genesis, Bereshit 1 and 1. Bereshit, Genesis chapter 1 and 1. In the beginning, Elohim created the Shemaims and the earth was without form and void, and darkness over the face of the deep, and the Ruach of Yahuwah was hovering on the face of the waters. Isn't that what he just did? He just did that. He was following the Ruach, because that which is born of flesh is flesh, and that which is born of Ruach is Ruach. When you obey, then guess what you are? You are of the Ruach, male and female. That's man and woman. Woman says she wants the Ruach, just do what it says. And the waters prevailed so mightily on the earth that all the high mountains under the whole Shemaim were covered. Can you imagine? If you were in that time right now, what will happen to you if you didn't obey Yahuwah? Just like we just did it to Pesach. What will happen to you if you didn't do it? You will be drowned. You'd be like that movie 2012. You'd be drowned. You wouldn't even be here because you didn't do what Yahuwah said. Because you know why? Because you ain't want to be saved. The waters prevail above the mountains, covering them 15 cubits deep. He said, people say, I can't swim. You jump in one of them cenotes, you can't swim, right? 55 cubits deep. Imagine. With no life vests. And it says, and all flesh died that moved on the earth, birds, livestock, beasts, all swarming creatures, the swarms of the earth, and all mankind, right? So you think about that. Think about it. And these are all a part of it, right? So this is the book of Yeshayahu 66, 1 through 2. Thus says Yahuwah, Shemaim is my kaseh, or kasah, and the Arat is my footstool, my regal. Just like you talk about your regal, your feet. He's on his throne, you at his feet. What is the house that you will build for me? And where is the place of my rest? Now you see why. He said, I liken to you a wise man who built your house on a rock. He said, you going to rest your house on the sand? Rest your house on obedience. All these things my yod has made. Why? Because it's the hand of the door. My hand opens the door. That's what yod means. My yod opens the door. Right? He said you want to get graphic, but at the same time, my yod opens the door. So all things came to be. That's how a man makes a child. And that's how Yahuwah opens the door. And that's how all these things started to be created. When he opens the door, the windows of Shamayim. Declares Yahuwah. But this is the one to whom I will look. So he going to look for somebody. He who is of a humble and contrite in Ruach. Why? Because that word for humble is ani. Why? Why would he put ani? Because you have to see life in the hand. And then we just saw. You have to see the noon. We just talked about we talked about the 26th day. And we talked about what it equals to. We talked about you add up all numbers, it equals to noon. You got to see the life, the respout, the continual yod, hand. And that's what the 10th letter, that's when you added them all up, it equals to 10, the 10th letter of the alphabet. Because he said in 2 Chronicles 30, it said they humbled themselves and did the Chag Matsah again. Because they didn't properly cleanse themselves according to the sanctuary. And then they did it again. That's what it meant. And a contrite ruach who trembles at my debar. They were scared. That's why Nuach was. Why do you think he built that? Why do you think a woman can't be saved? Because you know why? Because she don't tremble at the debar. It don't make them afraid. It don't make them put no fear in them. Right? Right, so that word for trembles is karad. It means fearful, afraid. So you got to be fearful and afraid and tremble at Yahuwah's debar. Reverential. I'm sorry. Afraid, trembling. So reverential actions. Reverential means actions or attitude filled with deep respect. Right. So if you don't got respect for Yahuwah's precepts. If you don't have respect and you don't fear his debar when it's spoken, reverential, guess what? You're not a contrite and humble person. But guess what it also means? Admiration or awe. So if you're not in awe of his debar, it often implies a solemn, almost worshipful or devout tone. So that means even your tone in your speech has to be in a certain tone in order for you to show respect. Such as speaking in hushed. What do you mean? Like real soft. That's how one has to be with Yahuwah. Reverential tones at a memorial or treating as sacred. You got to treat it as so sacred to where one is so in awe and so afraid and so having so much deep respect, then one doesn't do anything. With reverential care. So you have to be in that type of mindset when you hear the bar. It has to be deep respect, right? And it has to be continual deep respect. This is Psalms 33, 6-7. By the word of Yahuwah, so that means you got to have this reverential awe of it. The Shamayim were made, so if you forget that, you'll forget the Shamayim were made by him. You be like, man, I don't give a what Yahuwah said. You know what happens after that? Then you forget that he made the Shamayim, the 7 Shamayim. Then you forget the Passat. You be like, he made the first Shamayim. You know you registered in the Shamayim. And you know your citizenship is no longer on earth. So now you just blaspheme the whole Shamayim. And by the breath of his mouth, all their hosts. So he did it all by his breath, his neshama, his ruach. He gathers the waters of the sea as a heap. Now you see why the windows of Shamayim will open, and you knew I was in the ark already. And he puts the deep in its storehouses. He already has a storehouse of water. And guess what? That water not only can flood, but it also can bring life to you. This Proverbs 9-12. Give instructions to a wise man. Just like we talk about a wise man who builds his house on the rock. Just like Nuach was a wise man. He will still be wiser. Even a woman. You'll have more kakam on the inside. Teach a righteous man or woman, and he will increase in learning. So are you increasing in learning, or are you diminishing in learning? Only way you're diminishing because Satan taking the seeds out of your mind. Or the cares of this life and the deceitfulness of riches is choking the debar. And you are unfruitful. Verse 10. The yada of Yahuwah is the takulah of wisdom. It's the beginning. It is the takulah of wisdom. The fear of Yahuwah is the beginning of wisdom. And the knowledge of the Kadosh one is insight. So you're getting all this intellect, and you say, why? For by me your days will be multiplied. So how you think Nuach and them survived? By Yahuwah telling him what to do, and they did it. So how are you getting a pardon? Because by you hearing the word of Yahuwah and doing it, and following what he says, and following what the Debar says, and being in alignment, that's how you get a pardon. And years will be added to your life. You say, I want to live. How many years you want to be added to your life? Adam lived 980 years. Nuach lived 960 years. Adam lived 930. Nuach lived 960, 970. So you saying Nuach ain't the same as you? He ain't a human being? He must have obeyed Yahuwah more than you did. People say, Nuach obeyed Yahuwah more than you did. They don't even talk about his wife now, because usually when people become one and you so united, man, it'd be like a notebook. You died on the same day, right? If you real connected. It's like that. It's like Adam and Korah. It's like everything happened on the same day. It's like when Yahushua got pierced in the side, out came blood and water and hit the ground. Just like Adam was born from the dust of the ground. It's just like the spear being thrown by Phineas right between the man and the woman on the same day, and they both died the same day. So you think about that. And the knowledge of the Qahalath one is an insight. For by me your days will be multiplied. So he said, for by me your days will be multiplied. It ain't by your husband, it ain't by your Isha. You know how I talk about Isha, right? You got to trust in Yahuwah. If you are wise for yourself. See, this is a part. Kakam, you be wise for you and your household. Because everybody not going to build their house on the rock. And everybody didn't do second Pesach. And everybody not registering the Shamayim. So who you think you should be listening to? Those that are registered. Don't listen to nobody who ain't registered. You know what they're going to do? They're going to make you get a fake ID. You can be like, man, help me get in. Give me a fake ID. Give me some kind of improper. You know how we talk about in Testament of Louis, and it talks about how they did an improper purification. But it says, if you scoff, you alone will bear it. If you mouth that, you're going to bear it. You'll be drowned just like those people are. But these are all a part of it, right? So that word for beginning is takulah. Takulah means beginning first, the first time, a commencement, an opening of a commencement. That's what this is. An opening of a commencement. It's the beginning, the start, an opening of something. Remember he said he opened the windows of Shamayim and the waters came and it was on there for 40 days and 40 nights. It's a commencement. It's the beginning of wisdom. That's what that was, pouring down on the people. And it was 55 cubits. That was the wisdom that Yahuwah poured down, because he told Nuach by Hakmah wisdom that these things were going to happen. And by wisdom, he built his house. He built an ark. By wisdom. And if you don't obey and understand and you do the commencement or the opening of it, then you die. Right? And that's all a part of it. So the fear, that word for fear is yada. It means what? Fear, terror, fearing, awesome or terrifying thing. It's a terrifying thing. What's the worst thing you can ever see that happened on the earth right now? What would be the worst thing? Think about that. If you saw something happen on the earth, what's the worst thing you would ever not want to see? Put that in your mind. What's the worst thing you want to see? Well, guess what? That's actually what Yahuwah can do. The worst thing you don't want to happen in this world to you and to nobody and see on the earth, Yahuwah is able to do it. Think about it. What's the worst thing that could happen? He could do it. Fear of Elohim, respect. There we go. There it is. That respect. You have to. You got to have that respect. Morally reverence, dreadful, exceedingly fearfulness. He said you have to be that way. He said, Yahuwah said that? Man, we got to do that. Yahuwah said that? Man, we can't do that. You have to be like that. That type of awe. And you probably can't even say it like that. Yahuwah did that? Man, we can't do that. You got to even take down the tone a little bit. Man, he said, no, we can't do that. You got to pick down the tone. Right? Right, so this Bereshit chapter 1, Genesis chapter 1, 2 through 5. So what is this important? Why is this important? It says right here, because you just said, Shamayim is my throne, the earth is my footstool. Isn't that what he said? Shamayim is my throne, the Aydahchay is my footstool. Bereshit chapter 1, 2 through 5. The Aydahchay was without form and void. That means tohu and bohu. Tahu and bahu, right? And darkness was over the face of the deep. So the Aydahchay is his footstool. And darkness was over the face of the deep. And guess what? And the Ruach of Elohim was hovering on the face of the waters. And Elohim said, let there be light, or. And there was or, light. And Yahuwah saw the light, and it was good. It has to be good. If it's not good, then it's not going to benefit you as a wise man or woman. This is Proverbs 6:23. For the commandment is a lamp, and the teaching is light. So the teaching, the bar that he gives, you should tremble and have a deep respect and reverential awe as they open in commencement. And then guess what? It teaches you light and gives you understanding within yourself and what to do. And reproofs of discipline are a way of life. Why? Because he says, Shamayim is my throne, the earth is my footstool. Because you know the earth is feminine. And being that the earth is feminine is at its footstool, the earth and everything in the earth needs to know how to get reproved and be disciplined in the earth by Yahuwah's instructions and his teaching of light. And if you can't be instructed at Yahuwah's footstool, being on the earth, then guess what happens? You can't take correction. So therefore, Yahuwah looks at you and he says, why? Right? Because you're at his feet. He said you're at his regard, right? So that word for the commandment is lamp and the teaching is light. That word for teaching is Turah. Turah. What does it mean? Law, direction, instructions. So if you can't do the law, direction, instructions, just like the earth is feminine at his feet, if you can't be at his feet and learn and do and take the guide and understanding of it, then guess what? You're not humble and contrite. You're not trembling at his debar. He said, you don't got that reverential respect, do you? But it says instruction, direction, body or priestly direction or instruction. Why? Because this is all a part of your priestly duties. Because you are a Kohanim now. Man and woman. He said, I don't want to be a priest. But you got to be at his feet, though. Because this is all a part of it. Right? You got to be at his feet. It's Luke 10, 38 through 42. Now, as they went on their way, Yahusha entered a village. And a woman named Martha welcomed him into her house. So he welcomed her. She had hospitality, which means that she loved her neighbor as she loved herself. And she had a sister called Mary, and who sat at Yahusha's feet and listened to his teaching. Because the commandment is a lamp and the teaching is light. And correction and reproof is a way of life. So she was like, let me sit at Yahusha's feet and get corrected and reproved on my way of life and how I'm living. At his feet, even as the earth is at Yahuwah's feet, Shamayim is my throne, the earth is my footstool, and let that woman, Maureen, let me tremble at his debar and have a reverential awe and deep respect for Yahushua Mashiach. But Martha was distracted with much serving. Why? Because that's what happens when you leave off on things that you're supposed to do. That's the same thing when it comes to your money, your finances, and things you do. And she went up to him and said, Master, do you not care that my sister has left me to serve alone? Why? Because remember, two going to be grinding at the mill, one left and one other one taken. Right? Everybody not going to do it. Two going to be grinding at the mill, one going to be left and the other taken. Two going to be in the field, one going to leave. Two going to be in the bed, the next one going to leave. That's how it's going to happen. That's how it's going to happen. Because she said me to serve alone, right? Tell her to help me. He said, tell me Azar. Tell her to help me Azar. Why? Because women served women. Women helped each other. Matter of fact, women a woman teaches another woman. But he says what? But Adon answered her, Martha, Martha, you are anxious and troubled about many things. You think Noah was anxious and troubled about many things? You was like, get on the ark. This place getting ready to flood. So you think all that serving gonna help you? You think all that stuff you doing, I done many mighty works in your name. That's many mighty works right there. Cast out demons. Done many marvelous acts. Not but in your name. He say, why are you troubled about so many things? But one thing is necessary. Maryam has chosen the good portion which will not be taken away from her. He said, you can't take it out of her room with the Aydah inside, the testimony, with the Qahalath on top of it, in her ark. And that's all a part of it. And he was right at his feet, right? Because Shammai is my throne, earth is my footstool. This is 1 Samuel, Aleph Shamuel, 25 and 39 through 43. And when Dawid heard that Nabal was dead, because a woman, when your husband's alive, he said, your husband dead. But he said, but blessed be the Yahuwah who has avenged the insult I received at the hand of Nabal, right? Because your insults, Yahuwah will be listening to your insults. And has kept back this servant from wrongdoing. He's like, man, I want to retaliate. Yahuwah has, that's how Yahuwah get, that's how sometimes Yahuwah keep you back from doing something. He just take people out of here. He's like, man, I got to get rid of him. I had to take him out of here. Yahuwah has returned the evil of Nabal on his own head. So people be thinking everything's good. It's not. Then Dawid sent and spoke to Abigail to take her as his wife. He said when he was dead. And when the servants of Dawid came to Abigail at Carmel, they said to her, Dawid has sent us to take you to him as his wife. And she rose and bowed her face to the ground and said, behold, your handmaid is a servant to wash the feet of the servants of my master. He said, man, everybody at his feet. And that's what she was. She said, I'll be right at your feet. I'll be right at your feet. Why do you think Maryam was at his feet? She like Abigail. And Abigail hurried and rose and mounted a donkey, and her 5 young women attended to her. So she got even more people with her. She had to have 5 women to attend to her. That's how deep she was in her daily life. That's how deep she was when it came to how she looked and how she had help around her. That's how deep she was with herself. She followed the messengers of Dawid and became his wife. And Dawid also took Ahinoam and Jezreel, and both of them became his wives. Shaul had given Michal, his daughter, Dawid's wife, to Bathi, the son of Lachish, who was at Galim, right? But she was at his feet. This is the book of Ruth, chapter 12 through 14. And now, it is true that I am a redeemer. You know what Yahushua is to Martha up here? And to Maryam in the house. Now it is true that I am a redeemer. Guess what? Yet there is a redeemer nearer than I. He said, man, there is another. I'm a redeemer, but he said there's a redeemer nearer than I. Remain tonight in the morning, and if he will redeem you, good. Let him do it. But if he is not willing to redeem you, then as Yahuwah lives, I will redeem you. Lie down until the morning. So she lay at his feet until the morning. He said, man, she at his feet. But arose before one could recognize another. And he said, let it not be known that the woman came to the threshing floor. Because that's the whole point. She lay at his feet. And when you're there, you can receive instructions. How you going to get redeemed? Right? So this is the book of Job. The book of Job. This is the book of Job. It's the book of Job, chapter 19. Job, chapter 19. Ayub, chapter 19, and verse 23. Job, Ayub, chapter 19 and 23. Job, Ayub, chapter 19 and 23. Oh, that my words were written. Oh, that they were inscribed in a book. Right? So everything right in the book. Oh, that with an iron pen and lead they were engraved in the rock forever. For I know that my Redeemer lives. Right? He said, I know. And at the last he will stand upon the earth. He said he's going to stand upon the earth. Why? Because the earth going to be under his feet. And the very same thing, he said, why are you going to be on the earth? Why are you going to be under his feet? Because you got to be under his feet. Because every knee going to bow and every tongue going to confess. Because everybody going to be under his feet when he come back here. And just like Aydahchay has to be under his feet, the very same thing you got to do. And guess what? And after my skin has been thus destroyed, yet in my flesh I shall see Elohim. Because there's body terrestrials and body celestials. You got an earthly body and you got a ruach body. And guess what? Whom I shall see for myself, and my eyes shall behold and not another. He says, so why is this important, right? Right, this is the book of Revelation, Hazum, chapter 12 and verse 1. This is Revelation chapter 12, verse 1. And a great sign appeared in the Shamaim, a woman clothed with the sun. He said a woman was clothed with the sun, with the moon under her feet. He said you had a woman clothed with the sun, and another woman, a moon under her feet. What do you mean by that? This is Bereshit, Genesis chapter 37. Genesis chapter 37 and verse 17. Actually, Genesis chapter 37, verse 1. Actually, Genesis chapter 37 and 9. And it says, then he dreamed another dream, and he told it to his Akim and said, behold, I have dreamed another dream. Behold, the sun, the moon, and the 10 stars were bowing down to me. He said, you under my feet. Matter of fact, you at his feet. But when he told it to his father and his brothers, his father rebuked him, said, what is this that dream that you have dreamed? Shall I, the Shamash, and your mother, the moon, and your brothers indeed come down and bow ourselves to the ground before you? And his brothers were jealous of him, right? That's what's going to happen. You have Aydahchay that be jealous of you because of all the dreams you have and the things you can do. You have Aydahchay that be jealous of you, and it might even try to cake you out, just like Yasharal and Yehuda did Yahusha. But he said, and his brothers were jealous of him, but his father kept the saying in his mind. He said he kept it. Why? Because he took that thing, right? Going back to Revelation chapter 12, verse 1. And a great sign appeared in the Shamaim, a woman clothed with the sun with the moon under her feet. He says, you got to be at Yahusha's feet. How is you going to be a wise man or woman? And on her head, a crown of 12 stars. He said, you got to have the 12 manners of fruit. Matter of fact, 12 cranial nerves. Matter of fact, that word for woman is gune. You know, people want this is Greek. They call you a gune in Greek. And he said, I want to be Greek. Which one you rather have, Isha, Nashim, or Guni? I want to be called a gune. Right, so that word for woman is gune in Greek. It means wife or woman. He said, I saw a woman or a wife clothed with the sun with the moon under her feet. Why? Because women taught women. Just like you had women teaching virgins to stay virgins. So that when they get married, then they can have their virginity, their batula intact. Just like a father has to teach his daughter to remain a batula, a virgin. But it says, a woman clothed the sun with the moon under her feet and on her head a crown of 12 stars. Why? Because that moon under her feet had to receive the instructions. They had to be taught at the feet of Yahushua Mashiach. And if they don't, something happens. But this is Galatians chapter, and it says it appeared in the Shamaim, a woman, right? Let's see. Galatians chapter 4, verse 26. But Jerusalem above is free, right? She is our mother. What do you mean our mother? Because she's a woman. She's like a woman. For it is written, rejoice, O barren, because she's it's a feminine type quality. Jerusalem above is a feminine type quality. Just like the earth is a feminine type quality. But Notice he got earth is feminine. You got Jerusalem is feminine. So Yahuwah got, that's two women right there Yahuwah got. And then you him is sitting on this throne above you. And then he has what? He's sitting above you. Teaching all of you at his feet. And he the one over you with his son at his right hand. Just like Abigail, Maureen, Martha, all these people in his house. But Jerusalem above is free and is the mother of us all. Because she like the moon. For it is written, rejoice, O barren. Right? Rejoice, O barren, one who does not bear. Break forth and cry aloud, you who are not in labor. Why? Because you ain't germinating. For the children of the desolate children of the desolate one will be more than those of one who has a husband. Why? Because the children of the desolate, how many people kept Pesach? How many people did Chag Matsah? How many people did all the things that Yahuwah prescribed? So therefore, it's more children of destruction than those who have a husband. Who's the husband? Who's the husband? Right? This is Second Samuel 23, 2 through 4. 2 Samuel 23, 2 through 4. The Ruach of Yahuwah speaks by me. His word is on my tongue. You know, that reverence. You have to have that deep respect. It's on his tongue. The Elohim Yasharal has spoken. The Rock of Yasharal has said to me, when one rules justly over men, ruling in the fear of Elohim, notice how he say ruling over men. He dawns on them like the morning light. Or you mean like the sun? I saw a moon. I saw a woman clothed with the sun. Like the sun shining forth on a cloudless morning. He said, I saw the moon clothed with the sun. A woman clothed with the sun. And the moon was under his feet. As a matter of fact, it had 12 stars on it too. 12 stars with it too. And guess what it says? Like the rain that makes grass sprout from the earth. He said it's just like rain that makes grass sprout from the earth. He said, why is that important? He said you got what? Matar, and you have what? That's rain, and you got dasha. That's that word for sprout. Sprout in the arats. Ma'arats, right? That word for sprout is dasha. He said it's just when the sun, like a cloudless morning. He said, I saw a woman clothed with the sun. Matter of fact, I saw the moon under his feet, and it had 12 stars on his crown, right? I saw that. But what's that got to do with anything? Because that's like a man ruling over men with the word of Yahuwah in his mouth. And it's like the sun shining forth on a cloudless morning on Bakar sacrifice. This book of Sirach 26, 16 through 18. As the sun, when it arises in the Shamayim, so is the beauty of a good wife in the ordering of her house. He said, when you're in the order of your house, he said, you just like it's beauty. It's beautiful. Or you got your tikfarad on, so you overlooking rebellion. You overlooking offenses. You overlooking all of these things in your house. He said, you're in there like the ordering of your house. And get what it says, just like the sun rising. I saw a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet. You mean your daughters? Your future wives? But I saw a wife clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet. And she had 12 stars over her. 12 stars with her. But guess what? A good wife in the ordering of her house, as the clear light is upon the Qahalath candlestick on the near, as a clear light on the near. How many near we got? We got 7 near on the menorah. 7 near on the menorah, on the candlestick. We got 7 of them. So is the beauty of the face in a ripe age, right? That's the virgin. That's what you call a Bethula. Your beauty of face. That's how you know you're becoming a Bethula. You are a Bethula. Look at your face. As the golden pillars upon the sockets of silver, so are the fair feet with a constant heart. Now you see why the moon was at his feet. I saw a woman clothed with the sun, and the yard and the moon at her feet. Tell my sister to help me. He say, why don't you come sit down here too? She taking that portion that never be taken away from her. So are the fair feet with a constant heart. Because everybody's feet ain't clean. I assure you, if you're not constant in your inward man, your heart, you can wash your feet 1,000 times. You can get 150,000 pedicures, right? A year. You get 100 pedicures a month, 100 pedicures a year. It's still, you still evil. Why? Because you don't have a constant heart to be in the ordering of your house and in Yahuwah's order, and then you're not like the sun rising. Right? Just like in Easter. That's male and female. So what does they got to do on anything? This is Bereshit chapter 1, 11 through 13. Because that's what he said. He said a man and the ruling over men is like the sun on a cloudless morning that make grass to sprout, vegetation. Bereshit chapter 1, 11 through 13. And Yahuwah Elohim said, let the earth sprout vegetation. So how is that going to happen? By the debar, by the word of Yahuwah. A person, he's like, you're ruling over men and women, and guess what? The debar you speak allows grass to sprout, and then it's like the sun on a cloudless morning. And amazingly, he said, I saw a woman clothed with the sun and the moon under her feet with 12 stars. The crown, right? But guess what? And it says, the plants yielding seed. It says, and Yahuwah Elohim said, let the earth sprout vegetation, plants yielding seed, and fruit trees bearing fruit in which there is seed, each according to its kind on the earth. And it was so. And the earth brought forth vegetation, plants yielding seed according to their own kind. Because this is why I guarantee you these plants had deep respect for Yahuwah's debar. That's the only reason they sprouting up. The only reason one has not sprouted up and bared any fruit is because one doesn't have that reverential fear, that Yirah, and that fear of Yahuwah inside of them when the debar is spoken. He said they turn a stubborn shoulder and they don't pay attention. And the tree bearing fruit in which there is in their seed, each according to its kind. And Yahuwah saw that it was good, right? That's what he talked about. He talked about it was real good. He likes good stuff. I like good stuff. You go eat out, we go somewhere, you be like, man, I like good food. What you like? I like terrible food. That's not, I like good fruit. And there was evening and there was morning the third day. So that word for a sprout is dasher. That same word we saw in 2 Samuel 23. Why? Because it's the same word, dasher. He said, you cause grass to sprout. You cause things to sprout up, to grow green. That's what you're seeing now in the second month. This is the month of flowers too. You're starting to see that. You see all the green right now. That's just naturally, right? And you can see all these things to sprout, to shoot forward, to spring, right? So what does this got to do with anything? What is this moon with 12 stars and all these things that you see? A woman clothed with the sun. That's like a woman ordering of a house, right? So you got a woman and a man ordering of their house. That's what you saw, that woman. Because a woman is like a nurturer. Just like you see the shamash, when the man is ordering and he's speaking to the bar, he's like a nurturer to the plants. The same thing when a woman is ordering her house, she like a nurturer to the moon. And being a nurturer to the ripe aged ones, then what does one does? Then one produces constant hearts. And those things, those continual hearts, you know what constant heart means? It means noon. Noon. Continual. Noon. That's what these 40 days about. It means it's noon. It's continual. Right? But this is Ezekiel chapter 48, 30 through 35. These are the exits of the city. So what does this got to do with anything? So we saw a woman with 12 stars. And it says, these are the exits of the city, on the north side, measuring 4,500 cubits. The gates of the city shall be named after the tribes of Yasharal. Now you see why he had 12 stars. I saw a woman clothed with the sun. And the Yirah, or the moon, was under his feet. The lesser light was under his feet. And it had 12 stars, 12 children with it. It had 12 children with it. And Jerusalem above is free as the mother of us all. He had 12 children. Guess what those 12 children are? After the tribes of Yasharal, it says, and 3 gates northward. So you got 3 gates northward. Right? So that's 3 gates. 1 for Rauban, 1 gate for Yehuda, and 1 gate for Leuven. And eastward, 4,500. Right? 3 gates. Right? So you got 3 gates again. 1 gate for Yehusha, 1 gate for Benjamin, and 1 gate for Dan. Right? So if you registered in the Shemaims, you got verse 33. And on the south, measuring 4,500 cubits, 3 gates. You got another 3 gates. Guess what? A gate for Shamuan, a gate for Yissachar, and a gate for Zabulon. And on the west side, 4,500 with 3 gates. You got another 3 gates. 1 gate for Gad, 1 gate for Asher, and 1 gate for Naphtali. All the way around shall be 18,000 cubits. He says, so why is this important? Why is it important? Because when you look at this, right, you see right here, it says 45,000, right? And then you guess what that equal to? He said, what does that equal to? 9. And you got 4 of them. 9, 9, 9, 9. And then you got, and all the way around is 18,000 cubits, right? That's 9, equals to 9. And the name of the city, name of the city from that day, Yahuwah. The name of the city from that day shall be Yahuwah is there. So one says, oh, Yahuwah's not here. Yahuwah's not here. And they say, nah, he's not. And they despise you. They despise Yahuwah. And they be like, no, forget him. Forget him. Ain't no way. He's not. He says, Yahuwah is there. That's not. I saw a moon clothed with the sun. It had 12 stars too. And what does that got to do with anything? So that word for around, the way around is sabib. That means circuit. Roundabout, circuit, a circle. A circle. A circuit. All the way around. That's why you see 360 degrees. Now you see why it's 45 equals to 9. You say, why does it have 45 cubits? 45, 18,000 around and equals to 9. They say, no, that doesn't mean anything. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. All that's a part of it, right? He said, why is that important? Why do you think Yahushua cried out at the 9th hour? He had to go all the way around. He had to complete it. That's why he went from the 6th to the 9th hour. That's why he cried out. He gave up the Ruach at the 9th hour. He was doing it for all Jerusalem. In Matthew 27 and Yehuchanan chapter 19. He was doing it for all Jerusalem. It is finished. Why do you think he did it? He was doing it for the 3 gates. Northward, southward, eastward, and westward. Why do you think he did that? Why do you think there was darkness from the land from the 6th to the 9th hour? That's 3 hours. That's 3 hours. Why do you think he did that? Right, so that when it says Yahuwah is there, so that word for, when it says Yahuwah is there, yeah, that's what his name means. Yahuwah Shammah. Yahuwah Shammah. That's what it is. Yahuwah Shammah. Yahuwah is there because he hears there. Yahuwah Shammah. Because Yahushua above is free, is the mother of us all. Yahuwah Shammah. And guess what? It also means, steady. Yahuwah is there. Yahuwah Shammah. Why? That's what it means. So do you believe Yahuwah is there or not? Because it's the sons of Yaakov. He said, I gave 12 shalakim for the 12 tribes. And I put 45 cubits all around. And there's 18,000 cubits around. And there's 3 gates to the north, southward, eastward, and westward. That's 12 gates. Right? All these are a part of my understanding in this 40 days. So why, right? This is the Old Testament Pseudepigrapha, chapter 2, Joseph and Asenath. Joseph and Asenath, chapter 5, 4 through 11. The Old Testament Pseudepigrapha, volume 2, Joseph and Asenath, chapter 5, 4 through 11. And Petreius and his wife and his whole family went out to meet Yusuf. At the gates of the court looking east were open, and Yusuf entered standing on Pharaoh's second chariot, and 4 horses, white as snow, and with their golden bridles were harnessed to it. So he had 4 horses. Or he just talked about 3 to the north, 3 to the south, 3 to the east. You had four gates, but each one had it's 12 gates total. But you had each 3 to the north, 3 to the south, 3 to the east, 3 to the west. Then you had him in the east, right? And then everybody came out to meet him at the gates of the court. You know, the vestibule, the court. You know, when you go out, the gates of the court, like outer courts. And guess what? And he was riding on his second chariot. What Passat this is? This is the second Passat. And guess what? White as snow, the golden bridles were harnessed to it. And the entire chariot was manufactured of pure gold. He said, why does this guy do anything? This is Yeshayahu chapter 48. Isaiah chapter 48. Isaiah chapter 48 and verse 10. Isaiah chapter 48 and verse 10. Actually, go to EU, Job. Job, EU, the book of Job. I think it's 21. Job chapter 21 and verse 1. Job chapter 21, I think it's 21. Job chapter 21 and verse 1. EU, Job 21 and 1. Job 21:1. It says, Then Ehud answered and said, Keep listening to my words, and let this be your comfort. Bear with me, and I will speak. And after I have spoken, mock on. Right? He said, keep mocking. As for me, and my complaining, is my complaint against man? Why should I be impatient? Look at me and be appalled, and lay your hand over your mouth. Why do you think they should have laid their hand on their mouth? They were looking at him. They sat there and looked at Yahushua in totality, and they were mocking him. The scribes, the elders, and all the people were mocking him. And guess what? They should have put their hand over their mouth. But guess what? When I remember, I am dismayed, and shuddering seized my flesh. Why do the wicked live, reach old age, and grow mighty in power? He said, why do they do all of that? Their offspring are established, their presence, and their descendants before their eyes. Their houses are safe from fear, and no rod of Elohim is upon them. He said, man, they ain't getting no beating. So what these 40 days for? For us. The whip. Remember? He said he can't go over 40. He said they don't get no rod on their house. They don't even get whipped. Their bulls breed without fail, and their calves does not miscarry. He said, man, they don't get nothing happen to them. They send out their little ones like a flock, and their children dance. They sing to the tambourine and the lyre and rejoice in the sound of the pipe. They do the same thing you do. They do the same thing you want to do. They joyful too, and they look good too. But they ain't got no correction though. They're not sitting at Yahushua's feet. They spend their days in prosperity, and in shalom they go to Sheol. they go to Sheol. So which one you rather have? See, that's a hard. Which one would you want? I want to get corrected, reproved, sit at Yahushua's feet, and then afterwards get joyful. But then he might correct me again, or you want to go with them? It looked good to you. They say, Elohim, depart from us. We do not desire the knowledge of your ways. They don't want to know. You know what people do? They run right to him. And what is the Almighty that we should serve him? You think they're gonna do it? Nobody did it before. You think the same thing when they did Noah? Why should we serve Yahuwah? He said, I'm building this ark. 125 years I've been building this thing. Guess what? I'm getting out of here now. What you getting ready to do? And guess what? They say, Elohim, depart from us. We do not desire to know your ways. What is the Almighty that we should serve him? He said, why are we going to do that? You can't serve Yahuwah in money. That's what they do. You can't serve Yahuwah in money. And what profit do we if we pray to him? Let the kind ones offer him prayer at the acceptable time, the faithful ones. He said, why should we pray to him? Behold, is not their prosperity in their hand, and their counsel the wicked far from me? How often is it that the lamp of the wicked is put out? None. That their calamity come upon them? None. That Elohim distributes pain in his anger. That they are like the straw from the wind, and like the chaff that the storm carries. You say, Elohim stores up their iniquity for their children. Let him pay it out to them that they may know it. He's like, man, please do it. But guess what happens? Let their own eyes see their destruction, because more are the children of the desolate than she that have a husband. Yerushalayim above is free, and she's the mother of us all. Break forth and cry, you that beareth not, because these people bear a lot. And let them drink the wrath of the Almighty. They're going to drink it eventually. For what do they care for their houses after them, when the number of their months is cut off? He said, what would it do that? He said, why? Skipping over to verse 31. Who declares his way to his face? Who repays him for what he has done? When he is carried to the grave, watch is kept over his tomb, and the cloud of the valley are sweet to him. All mankind follows him. Right, so, yeah, going back to Old Testament, Volume 1, Chapter 5. Joseph and Aston on Chapter 5, 4 through 11. Right, skipping over to bridles. And it says, yeah. And Yusuf entered standing upon Pharaoh's second chariot, and 4 horses white as snow, and the golden bridles were harnessed to it. And the entire chariot was manufactured of pure gold. Right, just like Yeshayahu 48:10, he said, I will refine you, I have chosen you to the furnace of affliction. But these are all a part of it. And Yusuf was dressed in exquisite white tunic. And the robe which he had thrown around him was purple. Right, so he had a white tunic, and he threw a robe around him with purple, made of linen interwoven with gold. And guess what? And a golden crown was on his head. So he had a gold crown on his head. And around the crown were 12 chosen stones. Right, just like you saw in Hazun, you saw a woman with a crown of 12 stars on it. And guess what? And there were 12 chosen stones. Chosen. You think them gates ain't chosen? You think those gates for the 12 tribes of Yasharal ain't chosen? You think those 12 stones, you said he saw a woman clothed with the sun and the moon on her feet, and he had 12 stars with a crown, right? You think those 12 stones you think them 12 ain't chosen? And on top of the 12 stones were 12 golden rays. He said, you think those lights that they shine up from those 12 golden rays, you think they ain't chosen? And a royal staff was in his left hand and his right hand. And he outstretched, and he held outstretched an olive branch. The same thing when he was being 2 thieves, but these are all a part of his understanding. And there was plenty of fruit. There we go. On it. There were plenty of fruit on it. With those 12 chosen stones, with those 12 golden rays, and he had royal staffs in his left and his right, and they outstretched with an olive branch, and they had plenty of fruit on the tree. And guess what? And fruit was great. It was a great wealth of oil. Because you know what it is? It's wealth. Because fruit was wealth. The same thing when you put it in you have the fruit inside of the room with the ark, the money chest, with the cup of wrath on top, the mercy seat, with the Aydah, the testimony inside of it. Luke 6:12-13. And in these days he went out to the mountain to pray, and all night he continued in prayer to Yahuwah. And when the day came, just like the sun rising, I saw a woman clothed with the sun. And the moon was under his feet. And he had 12 stars. And guess what? And when the day came, he called his disciples and chose from them 12. He had 12 chosen stones, who he named Shalakim. That's what we just read in the first Acts chapter 1. He chose the 12 Shalakim. He commissioned them not to depart from Jerusalem. Why? Because this is all a part of their understanding. And these are all a part of it. This is Yuchanan 10:7-18. So Yahushua again said to them, truly, truly, I say to you, I am the door of the sheep. He said, I'm the door. All who came before me are thieves and robbers. What do you think Yusuf was? But the sheep did not listen to them. I am the door. Why do you think Yahushua was canceling all the people out? He was trying to bring everybody understanding right to him. He said, it was talking about me. He was a thief and a robber. He was taking my kabod, but here I am choosing 12 stones right here. He had 12 stones with 12 rays of light and 12 chosen stones. Matter of fact, he had 12 golden rays. Matter of fact, he had a royal staff in his left and his right, and he was bearing a lot of fruit. And his oil was a wealth too. But he said he was talking about me. And then he says, I am the door. Because remember, Yahuwah said, all my hand has made all things. His yod, the hand of the door, has made all things. What do you think Yahuwah's hand is? Yahushua Mashiach. Sit at my right hand, my yod, till I make thy enemies thy footstool. He's saying, I am the door. I'm the one who opened it. If anyone enters by me, he will be saved and will go in and out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. That's the only reason he coming. I came that you might have life and have it more abundantly. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. He who is a hired hand and not the shepherd does not own the sheep, sees the wolf coming and leaves the sheep and flees, and the wolf snatches them and scatters them. That's what happens. That's what happens. They scatter. What do you think? He said, man, you seen the wolf coming too, didn't you? You seen it, you heard him all the way across the thing. And you know what you did? You left the sheep. You left the animals there so the wolf could come take it. That's what shepherds do, right? When you're in the woods at night, say you hear the wolf howl, what you supposed to do? You got to put on battle ready. You got to defend yourself. And you might die. See, that's the thing. That's what each do. You might die. But you still have to protect everything in there. Because if you don't, what happens? Then you're a hired hand. You don't even care. You know, they say, you don't care. And guess what? He flees because he is a hired hand and cares nothing for the sheep. I am the good shepherd. I know my own, and my own know me. He said, I know. They know me too. Just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father. And I lay down my life for the sheep. Because a wolf come, man, it might be 9, 10 of them. And that might be the end of your life, but you got to put yourself in the way. You got to let them eat you up. That everybody can get away. And that's something, right? You got to let them eat you up, tear you apart, just so everybody can get away. Because he said, I lay down my life for the sheep. Just so they can go get back in the pen and close the gate. And then the next person, the keeper, come. What happened to the shepherd, the good shepherd? He gone. Okay, I got to take over now. And that's what you got to do. And I have other sheep that are not of this fold. I must bring them also. And they also will listen to my voice. See, that's the whole point. Listen to the bar. They'll tremble. And guess what? They have reverence. And guess what? They're going to do it. So they will be one flock and one shepherd. So then now one shepherd, and now that one shepherd has to put himself in the way of all the dangers that happen. For this reason, the Father loves me, and you want the Yahuwah to love you? Each man Why do you think a woman, he said, man, Dawi and his men like a woman robbed of her club, like a bear robbed of her cubs. What do you think a woman gonna do? You take your cubs. An animal gonna do that. A human being, I don't know. It's up 50-50. But he said if you did it, if an animal did it, he said you already know what bear gonna do. Bear finna kill you. He gonna hunt you down. He gonna sniff you out and he gonna hunt you down. He said, so what? A woman has to be like a bear when somebody takes her child. He said, yeah. He said, you got to put on your bear mind. Bear. He got to turn into a whole giant grizzly bear. That person took your cub, and the grizzly bear is going to be really joyful when you do it. And you got to go and take him down. He said, what? For this reason, the Father loves me, because I laid down my life, and I may take it up again. Because he said, perhaps I'm going to lay down my life and put myself in a way. And perhaps, maybe Yahuwah will not allow me to die. And I'll take up my life again. But if not, Barak be the name of Yahuwah. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down on my own accord. So you would literally have to lay it down on your own accord. I always say, husbands, love your wives, and Mashiach loved the congregation, and gave himself up for it. Why do you think he says that? Because he's trying to show you something. I have authority to lay it down. I have authority to take it up again. You know how people say, I want authority. Like Radah, like Adam, I want authority to physically fouls every creeping thing over all the earth, right? Ramiz, the God, Bahima, Tahanim, right? You want that authority, and that's what comes with your authority. That's what comes with it. So if you're not willing to do that, don't try to be an authority. Don't. This charge I received of my Father. So think about that. Right, this book of Revelations, Hazun, chapter 21, 10 through 14. And he carried me away in the Ruach to a great high mountain, to the Ruach. And he showed me the Qahalath city, Jerusalem. Jerusalem above is free. And it's the mother of us all. And guess what? The Qahalath city, Jerusalem, coming down from Shamayim, from Yahuwah. Right, so this is coming down from Shamayim, from Yahuwah, from the first Shamayim. From the 7 Shabai Shamayim. It's coming from the 7 Shamayim. It's coming from the higher than the Rakita. Higher than the cosmos. Even more further than Jupiter and Pluto. Further than the Pegasus galaxy. Right? It's further than that. Having the Aydah, the kabod of Yahuwah, its radiance was like the most rare jewel. It's rare. Like a jasper, clear as crystal. It had a great and high wall with 12 gates. You think them gates ain't chosen? And guess what? And the gates, 12 malakim. You think the malakim over the 12 gates, the 12 tribes? Each tribe got a malakim. And on the gates, the names of the 12 tribes of the sons of Yasharal were inscribed. You think they're going to change? You think, I'm going to change the gates that I said was in Ezekiel, Yakaziel. I'm going to make a change on that and put Odin on it. I'm going to put Isis and Pharaoh. No matter of fact, I'm going to put Tahuti on it. No, I'm going to put a Nordic priest right there on one of them. That's what he said. No, he did not say that. I'm going to put Oshun on it. Did he say that? No. I'm going to put Mary. Mary on the gate. No, Mary is not on the gate. Right? But that's what people be doing. I'm gonna put Ashtar Command and what's the other one? I'm gonna put them on the gate. No, they're not on the gate. None of these people are on the gate. Why everybody put it? He said, why are you putting them on the gate? Put the Centaurians. They're the most intelligent people in the cosmos. No. He ain't on the gate. On the east, 3 gates. You know we just read? On the north, 3 gates. 3 gates. And then we just read that too. And on the south, 3 gates, then we just read that. And on the west, 3 gates, each for the 12 tribes. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations. So you think the 12 foundations gonna change? Because remember, he chose 12 stones. Even Yusuf said he made with 12 chosen stones on his crown. 12 of them. And on them were 12 names of the 12 Shalakim of Yahushua Mashiach, the Lamb. There were 12 chosen stones for the foundation. So you think for some reason that he's going to put something else? No. Right, so you look at 360 degrees, right, 3 plus 6 was 0 equals 9. That's why it's 18,000 cubits around, right? 18,000 cubits around in a circle. Matter of fact, an equals to 3. How many gates? 3 to the north, 3 gates, 3 gates, 3 gates, 3 gates. That's 12, right? So you get 30 days per month, right? So 30 times 3 is 90. So you had 90 days, right? Each 3-month cycle of a 364-day cycle. So you look at 364 days, that's 90 days per cycle. So that's 90 days to 3. That's what you say. You got the east gate, that's 30, right? The east gate, that's 90 days. The north gate, that's 90 days. The south gate, that's 90 days. And the west gate, that's 90 days. And the wall of the city had 12 foundations. That's 12 months. And guess what? 90 days plus 1, that's the transition season, right? So you go from the longest day to the longest night. You go from summer to winter, early summer to late summer, early winter, late winter. You have 4 of them. And there's 4 gates to the city. 4, right? 4 cycles in the revolution of time, 364-day cycles. That's, you got 4 of them. 4 different quadrants, 4 different sections of New Jerusalem. 4 of them. And you got what? 12 months in the revolution of time, right? Just like got 12 stones and 12 chosen stones and 12 golden rays. And guess what? And spring is early summer. Then you have late summer, right? That's what spring is. It's early summer. This when the fruits grow. And that's where we're moving up. But that only happens after the first 3 gates. Because we got 3 gates. First 3 gates. We're in the second month right now. So after you got 1, 2, you got 3. That's 3 gates. Then you go to what? The next gate. That's 3 months. Then the next gate after that. The next gates will be 3 months, and that'll be late summer. But this is all a part of it. Then you have autumn and winter, right? Because you know autumn and winter, right? That's early winter, late winter, right? That's the south gates. And then you have the west gates, right? You start to travel down the cycles. But all this is equals to 360 degrees, right? A circle. It's all in a circle, right? 360 degrees, right? That's what it equals to. Right? Second Enoch 82, 2 through 9. I have given wisdom to thee and to thy children and thy children, that they shall be to thee, that they may give it to their children for generations. The wisdom, namely, that passes their thought. You have to put all these things aside. You got to wrap your mind around this. Now you see, why Yahushua here for 40 days? Why was Noach in the ark? And it says, and those who understand it shall not sleep. He said, man, ain't nowhere in the world. But shall listen with the ear, that they may learn this wisdom. And it shall please those that eat there of better than good food. Barak are the righteous, Barak are all who walk in the way of righteousness, and sin not as the sinners, in the reckoning of all their days, which the sun transverses the Shamayim, right? That's around. Transverse. I saw a woman clothed with the sun, which means she was moving with the sun. He was covering her, and she was moving with the sun, entering into the parting of the portal. She was moving with the sun, and she had the moon under her feet. She's like a wife moving with the sun, and the Yahweh moved under her feet, and she had 12 stars with her, like children, entering into the parting of the portals for 30 days. Right? We just talked about 30 days. With the heads of the thousands of the orders of the stars. Because we had 12 stars. Right? together with the 4, which are intercalated, which are divided into 4 portions of a year. That's why you have 4 gates. 3 to the north, 3 to the south, 3 to the east, 3 to the west. Those are the 3 months in each portal. Verse 6. Verse 5. It says, of a year. It says, yeah. Going to verse 4 again. Together with the 4 which are intercalated, which divide the 4 portions of the year, which lead them and enter with them 4 days. Right? You got 4 transition times, so you got 4 gates. Only to them men shall be at fault and not recognize them. Why? Because Yahuwah has poured out upon you the ruach of deep sleep. Eyes you cannot see, and ears you cannot hear. Unless you see with your eyes and hear with your ears, because we just read it right here. What he just said? He said, and those who understand shall listen with the ear. Lest you see with your eyes and hear with your ears and understand with your heart, and you be converted, and Yahuwah will heal you. Rapha. He will Rapha you. He says, only to them men shall be at fault and not recognize them accurately. For they belong to the reckoning of a year and truly recorded thereon forever. 1 in the first portal, the first 3 gates. 1 in the 3rd portal, that's number 2. 1 in the 4th portal, and 1 in the 6th. That's 4. We're in the first portal. Then we go to the 3rd portal after 3 months. After the 3rd month is over. And then we go to the 4th portal after those months over. And then the 6th portal. We're in the first portal. Why do you think he says, seek ye first the Malkuth, and all these things will be added to you? And then it says, and the year is completed 364 days. All that's a part of it. He was at 13, but listen. And the count thereof is accurate, and a recorded reckoning thereof is exact for the luminaries. And the months, and festivals, and years, and days. And Uriel shown and revealed to me, to whom the master of the whole creation and the whole world has subjected the host of Shamayim. And he has power over night and day. In the Shamayim to cause the light to give light to men. What is that? The commandment is a lamp, and the teaching is a light. So what is it? To give light to men. So what is it? What is the light? What gives light to men? The sun. Oh, I saw a woman clothed with the sun. A wife, a woman clothed with the sun. The moon, and the moon under its feet. And stars, and I saw 12 stars with them. And all the powers of Shamayim, which revolve around the circular chariots. He said that encompassing around with these gates, with the 12 tribes of Yasharal, was 18,000 around cubits, which equals to 9. And all this is a part of the circular chariots. This is 2 Baruch, chapter 48 and 7. You remember the beginning, which you created, and you do not forget that destruction will come, because there are more of the children of the desolate, the destruction, than she that had the husband. And guess what? With signs and fear and threat, you command the flames, and they change into winds. And with the word of the bar, you bring to life that which does not exist. And with the great power, you hold that which has not yet come. You instruct creation with your understanding, and give wisdom to the spheres, so that they minister according to their positions. That's why you got 3 gates with 3 tribes. Well, 4 gates. It is 3 tribes per gate. And each one has their position. And they have to stay in that position. And there's a Malachi over them in that position. Right, this is the 4th book of Osra, Pseudepigrapha, Volume 1, Old Testament. And it says, why successive generations were created. This verses 41 through 42. I said, yet behold, O Yahuwah, you have charge over those who are alive and at the end. But what will those do who are before us, or we, or those who come after us? He said to me, I shall liken my judgment to a circle, each one in their positions. It's like a circle, around and around. Just as for those who are last, just like those who are last, and there is no slowness, so for those who are first, there is no haste. He said, there is no haste, even those in last. He said, so for those who are first, there is no haste. And those who are last, there is no slowness. But at the same time, they all moving in a revolving circle, right? This is 2nd Enoch, chapter 48. Pseudepigrapha, volume 1. The sun, so that it might travel along the 7 celestial circles, I saw a woman clothed with the sun. She was clothed with it. She was covered in it, which are appointed 182 thrones, 7 muads. We're on the first one. We're on the first celestial circle. Well, we are on the first one, but the first Chag Matsah was the first celestial circle, but you get another chance to get registered again. But at the same time, we're moving toward the 3rd celestial circle. We got to make sure everybody gets it before the 3rd one. Or the 4th one, the 4th celestial circle. Right? Moving towards that. Right? Got to make sure. Which are appointed 182 thrones, that they might descend to the shortest day. And once more, 182 thrones, so they might descend to the longest day. So what does this got to do with anything? He also had 2 great thrones. What does this got to do with anything? 2 great thrones, where he pauses when he turns around in the direction and in the other direction, higher than the lunar thrones. Now you see why. I saw a woman clothed with the sun, but it was like the male and female joined together as one, because the sun was covering her. And guess what? 364 days and 354 days, because the sun does cover the moon 10 times greater. 10 days, actually. And in this way, the sun moves along the celestial circles. When he comes close to the earth, then the earth is merry and makes fruits grow. Oh, that's what happens. Why do you think Yusuf, he had a bunch of fruit on his actual staffs? I mean, it was like an olive branch, man. It had lots of fruits on it too. Man, it had a lot of fruit on it. But when he goes away, the earth laments, and the trees and all the fruits have no productivity. All this is by measurement. Then when Yusuf left the house, then what did Asenath do? When Yusuf left the house, when he came to see Asenath, what did Asenath do? Asenath was crying, she was weeping, she was fasting, man. She was losing all productivity. She was going absolutely insane. Repenting, doing everything she possibly could, because Yusuf was gone out the house. And she was a virgin too, right? No productivity, and all this by measurement. And by the most precise measurement of the hours, he fixed it by measure by his own wisdom. That everything visible and invisible, from the invisible things he created all the visible things, that he himself is invisible. Thus I am making it known to you. My children, train up a child in the way he should go. When he is old, or she, they're not going to depart from it. My children, you must hand them over the books to your children, and throughout all generations, and to your relatives, and among all nations who are discerning, so that they may fear Yahuwah, your Elohim, and so that they may accept them, and they will be more enjoyable than any delightful food on earth. What's your favorite food? And guess what? And they will read them and adhere to them. But those who are undiscerning, he said, you don't see this, and do not understand Yahuwah, neither fear. Oh, there we go. I don't reverence him like that. I don't have that reverential thought process Matter of fact, deep respect and sacred. Neither fear Elohim nor accept him. I don't even want to receive that stuff. Get that stuff out of my face. But renounce them and regard themselves as burdened by them. That's just way too much stuff. A terrible judgment is awaiting them, I assure you. It's going to be worse than Nuach. It's going to be way worse than what happened during Nuach time. But it says, happy is the person who puts their yoke on and carries it around. Oh, you mean NASA? You mean NASA? They bear it. They carry it. NASA? You carrying it around in your Aydah, in your Qahalath, with the mercy seat on top, with the Arum. You carrying it around, for he will plow on the great day of judgment. Oh, you mean thou shalt not muzzle the ox that treadeth out the grain. When it's time to get judged, he say, man, be ye doers of the word, not hearers only, deceiving your own self. Wow, what did he say that? Because people don't know this, right? This is the book of Romans. Actually, yeah, this is the book of Romans, chapter 3, verse 1. Romans chapter 3, verse 1. Romans chapter 3 and verse 1. For what advantage has the Yahudim? And what value is circumcision? Much in every way. To begin with, the Yahudim were entrusted with the oracles of Elohim. Oh, what if some were unfaithful? He said, who? So what if someone? Does the faithfulness nullify the faithfulness of Elohim? By no means. Let Elohim be true, though everyone were a liar. As it is written what? Everyone is a liar, though he may be. He says, let Elohim be true, though everyone were a liar. As it is written, thou that you may be justified in your words and prevail when you are judged. Because if you carry it, man, you're going to plow on the great day of judgment, boy. When it's time you get judged, you're going to be like, man, I got so much to borrow in this Qahalath. I'm going to plow on the great day of judgment. And all your words, you're going to be a liar. Everybody going to be rising up in judgment. He said, you're going to be a liar. And guess what? This is the fourth book of Ezra, Pseudepigrapha, Volume 1, 5 and 56. Actually, go Pseudepigrapha, Volume 1, Old Testament, chapter 6, 1 through 6. He said to me at the beginning of the circle of the earth, just like the circle, before the portals, wisdom possessed me in the beginning, before the world even was. Portals of the world was in place. The portals of the world were in place before they were even here. Before the assembled winds blew, before the rumbling of the thunder sounded. Right? We got that. And before the flash of lightning shone, and before the foundations of the paradise were laid. Before what? Before the foundations of the paradise were laid. Oh, you mean you talking about New Jerusalem, the 12 Shalakim on the 12 foundations of New Jerusalem? From above, and before the beautiful flowers were seen. Where was that happen? In the second month. This is the month of flowers right here. The month of Ziv, the month of Zu, and before the powers of the movements were established, and before the innumerable hosts of Malachim were gathered together. The Malachim over the 12 gates, and before the heights of the air were lifted up, and before the measures of the firmament were named. He measured out the whole Shemaim. Matter of fact, he measured out Jerusalem too. 18,000 cubits round. 45,000 cubits per gate. 3 gates, right? And before the footstool of Saum was established, before the even footstool of Saum, where's that at? The earth, the feminine nature, the earth, the feminine earth is established on earth, the feminine earth. And before the present years were reckoned, and before the imagination of those who now sin were estranged, and before those who stored up treasures of Amunah were sealed, then what? What did Yahuwah say? Then I planned these things. So all this he planned. He'd be like, I didn't do that. Yahuwah planned this. This is not he planned all this. What you gonna do? I'm gonna outplan Yahuwah. Are you out of your mind? And he said, and they were made through me and not through another. He said, I did it. Just as the end shall come through me and not another. So you think you say, I didn't get registered on the 15th day. And the 17th day, the waters With Nuach, waters came out. Now we're on the 21st day of the second month. So what's getting ready to happen after the 21st day of the second month? Right? He's playing all this, right? This is the book of Sirach 24 to 34. Faint not to be strong in Yahuwah, that he may confirm you. Cleave unto him, for Yahuwah Almighty is Elohim alone, and beside him there is no other Savior, no Yasha. He filleth all things with wisdom, as Paisan, where's that? Pisum, where's that? And as a tigress in the time of the new fruits. He maketh the understanding to abound like the Euphrates, Parath, right? And as Yardan in the time of harvest, he maketh the doctrine of knowledge appear as light, because that's what the instructions is, light. And as Gikum in the time of vintage. The first man knew her not perfectly. Oh, there we go. That's why he says the first man, Adam, was a living soul. But the second Adam is a life-giving Ruach. Nor shall the last find her out. He said you undiscerning then. Because you still in the flesh. For her thoughts are more than the sea, and her counsel profounder than the deep, great deep. I also came out of the brook from a river, and as a conduit into the Gan. You know what? You just read all the rivers in the Garden of Eden. So a conduit is someone or something that conveys good information or ideas, acting as a channel for transmitting and distributing energy, emotions, information. But this is or in fictional context where you have false shalakim, right? Supernatural powers. They are often described as individuals who facilitate the flow of ideas, healing, and spiritual energy, connecting people and places. That's all you're doing. He said, I was a conduit in the garden. Verse 31. And I said, I will water my best garden. He said, I'm going to water the best garden. And will water abundantly my garden bed. He said, I'm going to water that thing absolutely as much as I want. And lo, my brook became a river. So it starts off like a brook. It's small too. And my river became a sea. It became a big old sea. It was small too. And I will yet make doctrine to shine as the morning, just like the sun rises. He said, I saw the moon clothed. I saw a woman clothed with the sun. And the moon was under his feet. Man, she was shining like the morning. She's like a woman in the ordering of her house. It's just like a man ruling over men. It's like the sun on a cloudless day. I mean, grass sprout. It says, and I will send forth her light, or afar off. And I will yet pour out doctrine as prophecy, or naba, and leave it to all ages forever. Give it to your books, to your children and children, and all that is turning your mind. But those who reject it, how are you going to understand it if you reject it? I hate it. I don't want nothing to do with that. That stuff is lies. Okay. Verse 34, behold, I have not labored for myself only. So here we go. He said, I ain't did it for myself only, but for all them that seek wisdom. Oh, there it is. He said, for all those who seek Hakma. That's why he did it. He said, I labor for those who seek wisdom. Because if you seek wisdom and understanding, you'll understand this. Right, so this is Yeshayahu 55, 9 to 11. For as the Shamayims are higher than the earth, so are my ways higher than your ways, and my thoughts from your thoughts. For as rain and snow come down from Shamayim and do not return, but water the earth, you mean water the feminine nature, washing and giving water to the earth, making it bring forth sprout or dasher, giving seed to the sower and bread to the eater. You wouldn't be able to eat Chag Matsah if you didn't have it. How you going to get a second Chag Matsah? Yahuwah is the bar. How do you get a second Chag Matsah? Yahuwah is the bar. Why do Yahushua cry out twice? Yahuwah is the bar. I am your Abad. I am your Abad. son of your maid servant. So shall my debar be that goes out of my mouth. It shall not return to me empty, but it shall accomplish what I purpose and shall succeed in the thing from which I sent it. So when water comes, what does it produce? Figs. Fig flowers. Figs. It produces fig trees. It produces figs. He said, why are you going to water your best garden? Man, I'm going to water the heck out of that thing. He said, why? Because I like figs. I like flowers. Because this is the second month. The month of flowers. This is Jeremiah chapter 24, 1 through 10. After Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babel, had taken into exile from Jerusalem Jeconiah, the son of Jehoiakim, king of Yehuda, together with the officials of Yehuda, the craftsmen and the metal workers, and had brought them to Babel, Yahuwah showed me this vision. Behold, 2 baskets of figs placed before the temple of Yahuwah. One basket had very good figs. They were very good figs, like first ripe figs. But the other basket, very bad figs. You know, those are who reject the bar. Undiscerning. So the bad, they could not be eaten. They were so bad they couldn't be eaten. And Yahuwah said to me, what do you see, Yirmiyahu? So you have to be able to see. I said figs. The good figs, very good. So that word very good is male towel. Where you see male towel at? On the 6th day of creation. When Yahuwah made Adam in his image and likeness. When he said every herb yielding seed gonna be for food. The fruit trees bearing fruit with seed in the seed gonna be for food for you. And every green herb gonna be for the animals. And Yahuwah saw that it was good. It was very good on the 6th day. And you know what it says? And the bad figs, very bad. Male raw. That's what it's called. Male raw. Very evil. Male raw. So bad that they cannot be eaten. Right? So that word for baskets, behold, 2 baskets is Dawude. Behold, Dawude, it means love apple. Mandrakes. A boiler, a basket, mandrakes. Right? Favoring procreation. Right? Favoring procreation, love apples, right? I saw a basket of figs. Like you say a Dawude, that word for figs is ta'in. I saw Dawude ta'in. Fig tree. That's what it means, ta'in. It means fig tree. Tree or fruit. The fig. But then you see the feminine for it. It says ta'in na. Ta'in na. Why? Because you always see masculine and then you see feminine. That's why you saw what? I saw a woman clothed with the sun. When you see a woman clothed with the sun, that means masculine is over the Isha. And she's following the sun, she's clothed with it, and the moon is under her feet, serving her with 12 stars. So that word for one, verse 2 says, 1 basket had very good figs, like first ripe figs. The word for first ripe is bakura. 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 It means first ripe, early figs. So that's what this is. What do you think this is? What do you think we getting ready to do? This is early summer, isn't it? This is early summer. So you got an early fig. A ripe first early fig. How you say early fig? So you got early figs and late figs. Right? Like continuing on verse 4 of that same book of Yirmiyahu. Then the word of Yahuwah came to me. Thus says Yahuwah Elohim of Yasharal, like these good figs, so will I regard as good the exiles of Yehuda. So what advantage have you? He said, I like you. Why is he pouring on all this stuff? He said, I like you. Whom I have sent away from this place to the land of Chaldeans. And I will set my eyes on them for good. And I will bring them back to this land. Know what he say? Good figs? I'm going to set you for good. He say good. And I will build them up and not tear them down. And I will plant them and not pluck them up. I will give them a heart to know me. So if you have a heart to know him right now, that I am Yahuwah, and they shall be my people, and I will be their Elohim, for they shall return to me with their whole heart. Verse 8, but thus says Yahuwah, like the bad figs, know how he say good and bad now? See, I got good. They did with their whole heart. But thus says Yahuwah, like the bad figs, the raw figs, that are so bad they cannot be eaten, so will I treat Zedekiah, the king of Yehuda, and his officials. So these two separate things. They all from Yehuda, but for some reason, he's separating them. He said, what? He's separating them. He said, so why is he separating them? This book of Bereshit, Genesis, chapter 1, and verse 3. Bereshit chapter 1 and verse 3. Bereshit chapter 1, verse 3. And Elohim said, let there be light. Let there be instructions and teachings. And there was instructions and teachings. And Elohim saw the light that it was good. You mean good fruits. They returned with their whole heart. And Elohim separated the light from the darkness. I separated the evil male Ra from the male Tau. And he did it with his what? His instructions. And Elohim called the light day. He called the light the or day. He called the good figs day. Or yum. And the darkness he called kashak. And then he called the evil kashak. And there was evening and there was morning the first day. Right? Remember, we just read it. Ta'ain was what? Or Bakurath was the first ripe fruit. It was the first ripe fruit. Or the early fig. It's Bereshit 1 and 8. But thus says Yahuwah, like the bad figs that are so bad they cannot be eaten, so will I treat Zedekiah, king of Yehuda, his officials, the remnant of Jerusalem who remain in this land, and those who dwell in the land of Mizraim. I will make them a horror to all kingdoms of the earth, to be a reproach and a byword and a taunt and a curse in all the places that I shall drive them. So who do you think? What do you think we are? Good figs? He said. So why he sending his instructions? So we're byword and a taunt and a problem and a curse in all the places we've driven them, right? So therefore, y'all are raw figs. You know how people say they good figs. He said. So why are you still the same way? Why you ain't changed? That's what he was saying. And I will send sword, famine, pestilence upon them until they are utterly destroyed, till there's not a remnant or survivor for them, till it dies within you. From the land that I gave to them of their fathers. That's why we ain't there. All that takes place, right? So this is 2 Kings, this Malachim 18, 13 through 27. We ain't gonna read it. We can get through this. And in the 14th year, King Hezekiah, Sennacherib, king of Assyria, came up against all the fortified cities of Yehuda and took them. And they all came up. And Hezekiah, the king of Yehuda, sent to the king of Assyria at Lachish, saying, you know, you go back and forth with letters, you be like, man, they took everything. I got to send something back, let them know what I'm going to do. And then you're going to tell me what you're going to do. I have done wrong. I have done wrong. Withdraw from me. Huh? He said, I did wrong. Withdraw from me. Whatever you impose on me, I will bear. He said, I did wrong. Whatever you want to impose on me, I'm going to bear it. And the king of Assyria required Hezekiah, king of Yehuda, 300 talents of silver and 30 talents of gold. He said, man, I told you the oppressor. You remember I was talking about they're the type of people who sue you and then what? Then take you to court and take everything you got. He said, I did wrong. Whatever you want me to bear. And you know what he said? 300 talents of silver and 30 talents of gold, right? And Qahalath gave him all the silver that was found in the house of Yahuwah and in all the trades of the king's house. So he gave him everything he had, right? It was broke. You right? That's what happens when the pressure comes, but you ain't got enough money to make them leave. There's a reason why these reservations, these people pay billions of dollars to get them not to bother them, right? And Qahalath gave him all the silver that was found in the house of Yahuwah and in the treasury of the king's house. And at that time, Qahalath stripped the gold from the doors of the temple of Yahuwah and from the doorposts that Qahalath, king of Yahuwah, had overlaid and gave it to the king of Assyria. Man, he gave him everything he got. He even ripped the gold off the door. You know how you put gold on the door? Man, you gotta take that doorknob off, man. What are you talking about? I gotta take the back door. I gotta take the back door, man. That thing got to go. It ain't enough to pay the man. We gotta pay him everything. How you gonna get out of this? And the king of Assyria sent, and he says, doorpost, and verse 17, and the king of Assyria sent to the Tartan and the Rabbi Saras and Rabashek with a great army from Lachish to King Qahalath at Jerusalem. He done paid the man, he's still coming. So you think that's how Shaitan is. That's how Shaitan is. He come to kill, steal, and destroy. Isn't that what he's doing right now? And they went up and came to Jerusalem, and when they arrived, they came and stood by the conduit of the upper pool, which is on the highway of Washer Fields. And when they called for the king, there came out from them Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah, who was over the household, and Shabbanah, the secretary, and Yehunah, Joah, the son of Asaph, the recorder. And Rabashakah said to them, say to Hezekiah, thus says the great king, the king of Assyria, on what do you rest this trust of yours? He said, all this trust you got? What do you rest it at? Do you think that mere words are strategy and power for war? See, they don't tremble at the debar. And we just read that. They don't have that awe, that reverence for the debar. It says, in whom do you trust that you have rebelled against me? Man, you better be trusting something way greater than me. Behold, you are trusting now in Mizraim. So now he's trying to confuse them, saying, man, you trusting in Egypt. You trusting in Mizraim. That broken reed of a staff which will pierce the hand of the man who leans on it. Why do you think Yahushua was piercing his side in his hand? Why do you think he was piercing his side? In his hands. Such as Pharaoh, the king of Mizraim, to all who trust in him. He said, man, Qahalath, you trusted in Mizraim. That's what other Yahudim say too. When you start to do stuff, you be like, man, you trusted in Mizraim. That's the only reason you're doing all that. But if you say to me, we trust in Yahuwah, our Elohim, it is not he whose high places and altars Qahalath has removed. Is he not? He said, is he not all the high places and altars Qahalath has removed? Saying to Yehuda, to Jerusalem, you shall worship before the altar in Jerusalem? He said, you trust in Yahuwah, but look what you just gave me, though. Come now, make a wager with me. Make a wager with my master, the king of Assyria, and I will give you 2,000 horses. He said, so make a trade. And if you are able on your part to set the rider on them, how then can you repulse a single captain among the least of the master's servants? When you trust in Mizraim for chariots and for horsemen. He said, you trusting in them. Moreover, is it without Yahuwah that I have come up against this place to destroy it? He said, you think I'm just doing this without Yahuwah, right? Yahuwah said to me, go up against the land and destroy it. That's what he told me to do, right? And I'm doing what Yahuwah said, right? Then Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah, Shabbanah, the Yonah, said to Rabashakah, please speak to your servants in Aramaic, for we understand it. Do not speak to us in Yehuda, in the language of Yehuda, within the hearing of the people who are on the wall. So they were speaking the Hebrew language right to their face. And he's like, man, go speak in Aramaic. But Rabashakah said to them, has my master sent me to speak these words to your master and to you? And he went back to speaking the Hebrew language. And not to the men sitting on the wall who are doomed with you to eat their own dung and drink their own urine? He said they're going to eat that. But guess what? Then Rabashakah stood and called out in a loud voice in the language of Yehuda. Shema, he says, Shema Hadabar of what? Of the Gadol Melech, right? Or king. The king of Assyria. He's like, say what? So he spoke in Abri Lashon, in the language of Yehuda, and saying that the king of Assyria is the great king. To their face. In Hebrew, Abri. Shema Dabar Ha Gadol Melech. Melech Assyria. Right? He said that thing in Abri Lashon right to their face, right? Don't even expect you nothing, right? Thus says the king, do not let Kazakiyah deceive you. Oh, see, you know what Yahushua say, let no man deceive you. So you got Satan saying, let no man deceive you, right? So you got Satan saying this stuff. So Satan can say this stuff too. Let no man deceive you, right? So Satan can say that stuff too. It's in their books too. Remember, they got everything mingled in with their stuff too. So Satan can say that stuff too. For he will not be able to deliver you out of my hand. Right? So he literally telling them, do not let Kaziyah make you trust in Yahuwah by saying Yahuwah will surely deliver us. For this city will not be given into the hand of the king of Assyria. Do not listen to Kaziyah, for thus says the king of Assyria, make your shalom with me, and come out to me. Then each one of you will eat of his own vine. Okay, here we go. He said, you come out to me, I'm the king of kings. I'm the one that, I'm Yahushua Mashiach. You know, anyone come in my name and say I'm Yahushua Mashiach, he gonna lead many astray, right? This him right here. This is what Yahushua was talking about. Take heed to yourself. Let no one deceive you. He's talking about, don't let Kazakiyah deceive you, though. Right? Because remember, there are many Mashiachs and Yahushas, right? You got all the different names, right? They be like, don't let him deceive you, though. Right? But then here you go, verse 31. Do not listen to Kaziyah, for thus says Yahuwah, king of Assyria. Make your peace with me, and come out to me. Then each one will eat his own vine, eat from his own vine. Each one of his own fig tree. Oh, you know what we in now? He said fig tree. And each one will drink the water of his own cistern. He said, man, y'all all be broke off. Until I come to take you away to the land like your own land. He said, it's going to be just like yours. It's going to be just like your land, your own land, a land of grain and wine, a land of bread and vineyards, a land of olive trees and honey that you may live. He said, I'm going to take you someplace, and guess what? You ain't even going to die. So Satan putting out, Shaitan putting out words to try to persuade people and deceive them. Just like in the second book of Adam and Kuah, right? With Shem, or Shah. He came to him and he said, I'm going to take you somewhere. I'm going to take you to a whole nother earth. Didn't he say that? He came to him and he said that to him. But guess what? And do not listen to Kazakiyah when he misleads you by saying Yahuwah will deliver us. He said, don't you trust in Yahuwah? Has any of the gods of the nations ever delivered his hand out of the hand of the king of Assyria? Where are the gods of Hamath and Arpad? Where are the gods of the Saraphaim and Henna and Eva? Have they delivered Samaria out of my hand? Who among all the gods of the land have delivered their lands out of my hand, that Yahuwah should deliver Jerusalem out of my hand? But the people were silent and answered him not a word. Right? So he said, what did they do? Because he was talking a bunch of words, no? He was saying stuff. He said, so why they did that? Right, so this is the book of Matthew, or let's go to Luke. He said, what? He said, so why they did all that? Let's go to Luke chapter 23 and verse 1. Luke chapter 23 and verse 1. Luke 23 and verse 1. Luke 23 and 1. It says, and then the whole company of them arose and brought him before Pilate, and they began to accuse him, saying, we found this man misleading the nation, and forbidding to give tribute to Caesar, and saying that he himself is Mashiach, a king. You know what King of Assyria just did? He just did the same thing. Notice how they accusing him the same thing King of Assyria said to Hezekiah. And Pilate answered him, are you the king of the Yahudim? You know what King of Assyria just said? King of Assyria just said, he the king of the Yahudim. But guess what he said? And he answered, you have said so. You know what the king of Assyria said? You said you were the king of the Yahudim. We ain't say that. Then Pilate said to the chief priests and the crowds, I find no guilt in this man, but what they were urgent, saying, he stirred up the people, teaching through all Judea from Galilee to this place. You know what the king of Assyria was trying to do? Stir up all the people. But then he said, but the people were silent and answered him not a word. And when Pilate heard this, he asked whether the man was a Galilean. And when he learned that he belonged to Herod's jurisdiction, he sent him over to Herod, who was himself in Jerusalem at that time. And when Herod saw Yahushua, he was very glad, for he was desired to see him, because he heard about him. And he was hoping to see some sign done by him. So he questioned him at some length, but he gave him no answer. Now you see why. But the people were silent and answered him not a word. He said, man, gave him no answer. For the king's commandment was, do not answer him. Now you see why Yahushua ain't do it. Why? Because all that immersion Yahushua had put him on. Then Eliakim and son of Hilkiah, who was over the household of Shebaniah, the secretary, and Unah, the son of Aydah. Now you see how you got to behave when people start talking like this. When people start talking like this, don't even answer them not a word. Because Yahuwah heard you. And I already know he's going to do you. You just say you say you what? You ain't even got to say nothing. It's like you say, you know how they have crickets? Like, you finna die. Right? That's all you got to do. And Eliakim, the son of Hilkiah, who was over the household, and Shebaniah, the secretary, and Unah, the Asaph, the recorder, came to Kaziyah with their clothes torn, and told him the words of Rebbe Sheker, right? Because he know what happened when your clothes torn. They were scared. They were terrified. They started getting scared, right? But that's what happens, though, because fear has torment. But he said you're going to be under your own fig tree, your own vine, and you're going to drink your own cistern, right? He promising them riches, right? But guess what happened? They were scared, though. This is Micah chapter 4, 1 through 5. It shall come to pass in the latter days that the mountain of Yahuwah's house, mountain of the house of Yahuwah shall be established in the highest mountains, and lifted up above the hills, the horror, and people shall flow to it. And many nations shall come and say, come, let us go up to the mountain of Yahuwah, to the house of Elohim, Yaakov, and he will teach us of his ways. Isn't that what King of Assyria just did? But then what did he start doing? Start running his mouth, how he's a Malak of Malakim, and how he was all this stuff, and he despised the words of Yahuwah. He said, what good are words in this type of fight? Do you understand? I destroyed everybody that came at me, boasting about what he can do. That he may teach us of his ways, that we may walk in his paths. For out of Saon shall go forth the Turah, the instructions, the light, and the word of Yahuwah from Jerusalem. What good is all them words coming out of your place in this type of battle? Why? Because he was fighting a carnal battle. He was fighting a carnal battle. He had carnal weapons and carnal things, but the weapons of our warfare are not carnal. So therefore, that which is born of flesh is flesh, that which is born of ruach is ruach. Our fight is the bar. Verse 3, he shall judge between many peoples, and shall decide disputes for strong nations far away. And they shall beat their swords into plowshares, and their spears into pruning hooks. We ain't get there yet. But the green world coming, you know how they got it. They already have it already here, right? They're showing you what they're doing. They start a war, and then they're going to go from that to this whole new green world, right? That's exactly what they do. But remember, King of Assyria, like, I'm the Malak of Malakim. I'm the King of Kings. Matter of fact, who has delivered you out of my hands? Matter of fact, everybody gonna have their own fig tree, their own vine, and they're gonna drink out of their own cistern. You see his deception? You see his deception? That's what he's getting ready to do. He said, take heed to yourself. Let no man deceive you. They trying to swindle you again. Just like they just swindled. He said, how they swindled us all these 1,000 years? This is how they swindle you. They already got it all set up. And the spear and the pruning hooks, nation shall not lift up sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Ain't gonna be no more war. But they shall sit, every man under his vine. There we go. Then what he said? And every one under his fig tree, his time. And no one shall make them afraid. They were like scared. They tore their robes too. Didn't they tear their robes? They were terrified. For the mouth of Yahuwah of hosts has spoken, because they didn't believe Yahuwah. That's why they tore their clothes. For all the people shall walk each in the name of its God. Say what? But we will walk. See, they can do that. See, that's the thing. Everybody can walk in the name of their God. They have that right. But we will walk in the name of Yahuwah, our Elohim, forever and ever. They have that right. Everybody has that right. You can't stop them. This is Mashali Proverbs 27:18. Whosoever tends to the fig tree will eat its fruit, if you tend to it. Or Nitzar, and he who guards or shamar his master will be honored. He said, you guards or shamar your master, you will be honored. Right, so that word for tends is nitzar. It means to watch, to guard, to keep. You watch your fig tree. Because you got to understand what you're producing. You producing fear, that ain't no good fig. You producing really bad figs, male raw, tame. That's a different type. He said, man, you gonna get pestilence, sword, you gonna get destruction. But if you got good fruits, this is why you got to tend to your fig tree. So you can get good fruit, so Yahuwah can do good for you. And it's a feminine tree. It's the feminine nature of you. Right? They say women have masculine because the Mashiach on the inside. But at the same time, the feminine nature can't die. Like he said, they're a separate, weaker nature, but at the same time, you should be able to tend to a fig tree. And if not, Netzar fig tree. The male gonna tend to it. That's why he said, I saw a woman clothed with the sun. The 12 rays of light were clothing the woman. And then what happened? That's the 12 Shalakim. And the moon was under her feet. It had 12 stars. Because the moon gives birth to stars. It means also to keep, observe, guard, fidelity, to guard, to keep close, to be a blockade, right? So are you a blockade for the fig tree? Your ta'in tree, right? Your ta'in. To guard, in a good sense, to protect, to maintain. He said, so why you got to maintain the feminine tree for each? You have to maintain it. I have to maintain the fig tree. I got to protect it. It's the feminine nature. I got to protect. Right? It also means bad one. Conceal. Even the evil one. Even don't you got to even do. He said even the bad fig. He said I got like seven good figs, but then I got 3 bad figs on there. He like, man, you got to even protect that. Conceal. You got to do that too. Hidden thing. You got to hide it. Because you already know people trying to eat the fruit of it. Especially, Isha. Everybody always trying to prey on the fig tree. They want that. Why do you think they always trying to prey on the fig tree? Let me go eat some of that fruit. Let me take some of that good fruit that you was supposed to get and eat. Then they end up taking it off, and the person ain't got no more fruit no more. You be like, what happened to the fruit? That was mine. He like, I gave it to somebody else. That's why women commit adultery. That's why they do it. He said, that was my fig. You gave it to somebody else? That was my fruit. That's how Yahuwah is with his fruit. He said, that's my fruit. So you're going to give it to another God. You finna put that praise, the fruit of your lips, to another God. So how you think Yahuwah like? Yahuwah thinking about you. And people say, yeah, he is. Bereshit chapter, not for good though. Bereshit chapter 2, 2 and 15. Yahuwah took the Adam and put him in the Garden of Eden to do what? To abide and shamar. Why? Because that's what you're supposed to do. Then he said, I'm going to water my garden, my best garden. And then we just read in the book of Turah, I'm going to water that thing. And Yahuwah commanded Adam, saying, you may surely eat of every tree of the garden, but the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Notice it had, Yirmiyahu said he had male Taud and male raw figs. And he separated the good figs from the evil figs on the tree. Didn't he not? He said the evil part, I'm going to chastise. But the good, I'm going to do good to that part of that fig tree. So a woman or Ish may have good fruit on that tree. But then he may have 3 bad figs that he real kind of don't leave no good figs on. And you have to, he said, you're going to have to, the bad fruit. Just like Yahuwah does when he separated the evil from the good. You're going to have to correct the bad fruit with the debar. That's the only thing fig trees listen to. Fig trees don't listen. If it's a good, fig trees require debar. But the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you shall not eat of it. From the day you eat of it, you shall surely move. I assure you, if you go you say something to that tree gonna fire back at you. The day you eat of it, you gonna die. You gonna eat it with your ozen, and then guess what happened? You gonna die. Why? Because that's not a part. You have to what? Not eat from that tree. If you do, something's gonna happen to you. You're gonna hear with your ear, you're gonna see with your eyes, you're gonna understand with your heart, and you're gonna believe it too. And you're gonna be converted to that good and evil tree. And you're gonna have good fruits and evil fruits. When Yahuwah want a whole tree with good fruit. He don't want a tree with good and evil fruit in it. He don't want that. Bereshit 3, 17 through 19. And to Adam he said, because you have listened to the voice of your Isha and have eaten from the tree which I commanded you, you shall not eat from it. Curse shall you the ground be for you, and pain you'll eat all the days of your life. That's why we read the evil fruit in Yirmiyahu. Pestilence, you're going to get famine. I'm going to send other nations after you. I'm going to scatter you. That's what happened to Adam because of their fruit. Verse 18, thorns and thistles it shall bring forth to you, and you shall eat the plants of the field. By the sweat of your face you shall eat bread till you return to the ground. For out of you were taken, for dust thou art, and dust thou shalt return. This is Proverbs 13, 1 through 6. A wise son hears his father's instructions, but a scoffer, a person mouth that does not listen to rebuke. He said, they ain't not listening to Ka. For the fruit of his mouth, from the fruit of his mouth, a man eats what is good. He said, you're going to eat your words. You're going to eat what's good, but the desire of the treacherous is for violence. That's male raw fruit. Whosoever netzar or tends to his mouth preserve his life, because that's the fruit of your lips. You're preserving your life by the fruit of your lips. He who opens wide his lips comes to ruin. If somebody says something out of their mouth and says something in your life, and it's not through being fruitful and multiplying and replenishing, if it's all about destruction and things being taken away and destroyed, then it came out of your lips, and you did not tending netzar to your fig tree and the feminine tree and the feminine nature, to the soft wisdom and knowledge and understanding that's supposed to come out of your mouth. Verse 4, the soul of the sluggard craves and gets nothing. Why? Because you're craving things. I want this, I want that, but you're a sluggard. You're lazy. You're not going to get nothing. You're not tending to your fig tree. You're not practicing your good figs to people, to an individual, to persons, to human beings. While the soul of the diligent is richly supplied, the righteous hates falsehood. That's what happens. A woman should hate falsehood. And Isha should hate falsehood. If she don't hate falsehood, she ain't going to see it in her own children. If you don't hate it, if you don't hate shakar, if you don't hate falsehood, you ain't going to see it in your own children. You ain't going to see it in the stars. You ain't. But the wicked bring shame and disgrace. Why? Because you ain't going to hate falsehood. And then all they're going to do is bring shame and disgrace to you in public. That's all that's going to happen. Because you don't love, you don't hate falsehood, and then you, guess what you do? You bring wickedness out, and then you bring shame and disgrace in public. Righteousness tends, tends to the person whose way is blameless. So righteousness, nitzar, whose way is blameless. It tends to it. That's what righteousness does. But sin overthrows the wicked. But when you don't tend to your fig tree, you're going to be overthrown. And this is all a part of it, right? This is Mark chapter 13, 24 through 31. But in those days after the tribulation, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. I saw a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon under her feet. Matter of fact, I saw it waning, and I saw the stars also. And the stars will fall from Shamayim. The 12 stars. That's what he's talking about. And the powers of Shamayim will be shaken. What do you think is going to happen if the woman not clothed with the sun, and the moon is not at her feet, and the stars, what do you think is going to happen to them if she don't netzar the fig tree and netzar her lips? What do you think is going to happen? And then they shall see the son of Adam coming in the clouds with great power and great kabod. What do you think he's coming to do? The son of Adam coming with clouds. He coming to judge. Why would he darken the sun? Because now the woman ain't clothed with the sun. So if he darken the sun and the woman not clothed with the sun anymore, the wife, the moon ain't going to have no light, ain't going to have no instructions either. Then all the stars, the 12 tribes, going to fall because the woman don't got no intellect on the inside of her. And the powers of Shamayim will be shaken. Then Yahuwah going to get upset. Then he going to send the son of Yahuwah coming in a cloud of great power because nobody want to do their job. And then he will send out his malakim and gather his elect from the four winds of the four corners of the earth, from the four gates. And the end of the earth, from the ends of the earth to the end of Shamayim. Because he's coming for you. Verse 28. From the fig tree learn its lesson. As soon as the branch becomes tender and puts out its leaves, you know that summer is near. You should know this. You should already know this. So also, when you see these things taking place, you know that that it is near and at the very gates. You mean at the 12 gates. You already know it's at the gates. It's already there. And you know what happens when he comes to the gates? He go, all my gold. Here go all my stuff, right? They all at the gates of Jerusalem. Here go all my stuff. And the people in that terrified, right? But when you understand Yahuwah, truly I say to you, this generation will not pass away until all these things take place. So there's a lot of things going to happen. The woman is supposed to be clothed with the sun. Now we're not darkening the sun. And the moon not going to get no light. She ain't got no instructions. And then all the stars going to fall. They're going to fall. They all going to fall with the falling. They all going to fall. Right? And that's what's going to happen. You Luke Oyah 13, 6 through 8. And he told this parable, a man had a fig tree planted in his vineyard. And he came seeking fruit on it and found none. The feminine tree. He said, I came to my feminine nature, my feminine tree. My Isha, my Nashim, all the women supposed to bear in my fig tree in my garden. And he said to the vine dresser, look, for 3 years now, I have come seeking fruit on this fig tree, and I find none. Cut it down. He said, cut it down. You ever have a tree that don't bear no fruit? He's like, man, I've been wanting to eat apples or some figs off this tree for 3 years. Ain't got nothing. Why should it use up the ground? He's like, you wasting space. And he answered him, sir, you ever had a tree you had to cut down? He's like, I got some trees to cut down. He's like, man, this thing just wasting space, taking up water, sunlight. Sir, let it alone this year also. He said, leave it alone. See, that's what people got to do. You got to learn how to leave people alone. That's probably why they ain't bear no fruit. That's literally what he just said. Because you ain't never left it alone. You just keep bothering it. That's why they ain't bear no fruit. Until I dig it, until I dig around it, right? And put on manure. See, Yahushua like, I know what to do. I'm going to dig around it, and I'm going to put some manure. Unless the woman don't like, I say, you like to stink, because I'm going to put some stinky stuff around here. It stink, but eventually the rain will come and make it go away. But it's good for you. It's bitter too. It don't smell good. It's like them bitter herbs. It's like them things you don't want to eat. They say then if it should bear fruit next year, well and good. I mean, he's talking for good figs. That's good figs. So that means the tree had figs, but it wasn't figs to eat. It were very raw figs, right? So he's like, if it has fruit next year, well and good. But if not, you can cut it down. So Yahushua's like, if I do something to it, and if it don't bear no fruit after that, then you can cut it down. But you still have to wait. Notice how he says 3 years, right? Notice he said 3 years. But then it says, give it another 4 years. How many 4 transition times there is? How many portals? How many gates? How many gates? 12 gates. 3 to the north, 3 to the south, 3 to the east, and 3 to the west. He said, then if they can't get that understanding, he said, you can cut it down. Because there's no point. There's no point. This is Ukanan chapter 1, 43 through 51. The next day, Yahushua decided to go to Galilee. And he found Philip and said to him, follow me. Now Philip was from Bethesda, the city of Andrew and Cobb, and Philip found Nathanael and said to him, Nathanael, we have found him whom Mashah in the law and also the Nabiim wrote, Yahushua Nazareth, the son of Yusuf. Nathanael said to him, can any good thing come out of Nazareth? Philip said to him, come and see. Yahushua saw Nathanael coming toward him and said to him, behold, an Israelite or Yasharal indeed, right? Israelite or Yasharal indeed, in whom there is no deceit. Right? He say Nathanael or Nathaniel supposed to have no deceit. Well, this Nathaniel don't got no deceit. Right? I said to him, how do you know me? Yahushua answered him, before Philip called you, when you were under the fig tree, I saw you. We just read that in Micah. He said, every man gonna be sitting on their own fig tree, right? I mean, he had his own land, right? He had his own fig tree, vine, and cistern, right? Nathanael answered him, Rabbi, teacher, you are the son of Elohim. He said, man, how you know that? You are the king of Yasharal. I thought it was king of Assyria. King of Assyria say, man, you're going to have your own fig tree, your own vine, and your own cistern. He's like, man, you're the king, Malach of Yasharal. I thought it was king of Assyria. Yahushua answered him, because I said, I saw you under the fig tree. Do you believe? He said, because I talked about a fig tree and you were sitting under it. You will see greater things than these. He said, you're going to see greater stuff than what I just did. You just talking about a fig tree? He's like, man, this dude like Micah. He said, he going to sit there, everybody going to be on this fig tree. He saw me. And he said to him, truly, truly, I said to you, you will see the Shamayim open and the Malachim of Yahuwah ascending and descending on the son of Adam. He said, you're going to see that. And when you see that, when your mind get open, your eyes get open to see that, he said, man, that's even greater than that fig tree you got. Right, this is Ecclesiastes 9, 16 through 18. But I say that wisdom is better than might. Though the poor man's wisdom is despised, and his words are not heard. The word of the wise heard in quiet are better than the shouting of a ruler among fools. Wisdom, Hakmah, is better than weapons of war, or Qahalath. But one sinner destroys, or a bad, much good. It does. One rotten fig on your fig tree. One rotten fig, male Ra, can destroy all other fig tree or 11 fruits on your tree. Just like Judas. Remember Judas? He was one fig on a tree that bare 12 manners of fruit. 12 figs. And he was that rotten fruit that could not be eaten. And guess what he did? He destroyed much good. He killed you. He set Yahushua up to die. And he scattered all the rest of the figs and the fruit of that were with Yahushua. All at the same time. Just one person. And he could not be eaten. He's like, this is terrible. Right, so that word for quiet is nakath. It means rest, quiet. What today is? Day of rest. Quietness. It says what? Restfulness. Lighting down quiet. It's better. It's just better. 1 Corinthians 3:10-9. According to the Khan that Yahuwah has given me, like a skilled master builder, I laid the foundation. What do you mean, laid the foundation? It's 12 foundations. 12 shalakim under the foundations. Before he laid the foundations, he was already there. He planned all this. And someone else is building upon it. Let each one take care how he builds upon it, for no one can lay a foundation other than that which is laid, which is Yahushua Mashiach. Nobody can do that. Now, if anyone builds on the foundation with gold, silver, precious, wood, and hay, each one's work will be manifest, for the day will disclose it, because it will be revealed by fire. What did King of Assyria do to King Qahalath? He had to give up everything. He's like, man, look at it, take the doorknobs off, the gold, everything. Yahuwah taking us through a test, right? We still gonna trust in Yahuwah, right? And guess what happened? And the fire will test what sort of work each one has done. If the work that anyone has built on the foundation survives, did all that gold, silver, and the things that Qahalath had survive? No. He will receive a reward. If any man's work is burned, he will suffer loss. All that stuff. He suffered all that loss. But guess what? Though he himself will be saved, but only through fire. Do you not know that you are Yahuwah's temple, and that Yahuwah's Ruach dwells in you? If anyone destroys the temple of Yahuwah's temple, Yahuwah will destroy him. For Yahuwah's temple is Chdsh, and you are that temple. Let no one deceive himself. That's the whole point. No man or woman. If anyone among you think that he is or she is wise in his age, let him become a fool, that he may become wise. For wisdom of this world is folly with Yahuwah. For it is written, he catches the wise in their craftiness. And again, Yahuwah knows the thoughts of the wise, that they are futile. So let no one boast in men or women, for all things are yours. Right, you're skipping out of there. Right, this is Matthew 21:33-45. Hear now the parable. There was a master of the house who planted a vineyard, and put a fence around it, and dug a wine press in it, and built a tower and leased to its tenants, and went into another country. And when the season of the fruit drew near, he sent his servants, the tenants, to do what? To get his fruit. And the tenants took his servants and beat one, killed another, and stoned another. Again, he sent other servants, more than the first, and they did the same to them. Finally, he sent his son to them, saying, they will respect my son. Ain't that what you're supposed to do? Respect the debar, who trembles at his debar, reverential, deep respect and sacred. They sure gonna respect my son. But when the tenants saw the son, they said to themselves, this is the heir. Come, let us kill him and have his inheritance. What do you think they want to do to you? And they took him and threw him out of the vineyard and killed him. That's what they do. And when therefore the owner of the vineyard comes, what will he do to those tenants? They said to him, he will put those wretches to a miserable death. Behold, he come with clouds, and every eye gonna see him. And let out the vineyard to other tenants who will give him the fruits in their season. Make sure you tend to your fig tree. Netzar Taim. Yahusha said to them, Have you not read the scriptures? The stone which the builders rejected became the cornerstone. This is Yahuwah's doing. He planned it. And it is marvelous, in your eyes. Therefore I tell you, the kingdom of Yahuwah will be taken away from you and given to a people producing its fruits. Or you mean Netzar Taim. The male Ta'ub Taim. The really good figs. And the one who falls on this stone will be broken into pieces, and when it falls, all the stars of Shamayim fell. And they all fell because the moon ain't have no light, and the sun was dark. And when you fall, and he said, when it falls on anyone, it will be crushed. It will crush him. What happened to Adam when he jumped off the cliff? When the chief priests and the Pharisees heard his parable, they perceived that he was speaking about them. He's like, man, you talking about that? I know, you know how Yahushua be talking. He be talking like, he talking about that. He's saying, man, we gonna lose the king. He said, we gonna lose everything. He said, we gonna fall and be crushed. And he said, you're gonna be taking away the fruits. Because they already knew. He's like, man, we already know we're gonna kill him, right? We already planned it. But he already know we did what we did. And he already know what we getting ready to do. How he know we gonna kill him? And although they were seeking to arrest him, he said, how he know that? We didn't even know. How he know we gonna take him and kill him? They feared the crowd. He's like, man, how he know this? That's why he's basically saying. Because they held him to be a Nabi, a prophet. That's the only reason people don't do nothing to you. Because they know if they do something to you, they can be like, man, you just killed somebody, right? This Yukonon 16, 12 through 15. I have many things to say to you, but you cannot bear them now. You can't carry it. When the Ruach of truth comes, he will guide you into all truth. For he will not speak of his own authority, but what he hears, he will speak. And he will declare to you the things that are to come. He will kabod me, for he will take what is mine and declare it to you. All that the Father has is mine, therefore I said he will take what is mine and declare it to you. Ephesians 2, 14 to 22. For he himself is our shalom, who has made us both one and has broken down in his flesh the dividing wall of hostility, by abolishing the law of the commandment expressed in ordinances, that he might create in himself one new man in place of the two, so making shalom, and might reconcile us both to Yahuwah in one body through the totality, therefore killing the hostility. What do you mean hostile? Hostile and get what Yahuwah said. He was coming to kill the hostility. Why do you think he coming to kill all the hostile fruit? All the raw, male raw fruit that people got. It's all hostile to Yahuwah. It can't submit to Yahuwah's law. And he came and Qahalath, shalom to you who were far off, and shalom to those who are near. For through him we both have access in one Ruach to the Father. So then you are no longer strangers and aliens, which means if you did Pasach, if you registered yourself, you ain't no stranger, but you are fellow citizens. You a fellow citizen in the first Shamayim, after the 21st day of the second month. You are a fellow citizen. And with the Chdshim, members of the household of Yahuwah, you are a citizen now. Built on the foundation of the Shalakim. Oh, you mean the 12 foundations? You know, the 12 Shalakim, the 12 rays of light, the 12 chosen stones of the Shalakim and the Nabi'im. Or you mean Ezekiel chapter 38 and 37? You mean like that? Mashiach Yahushua himself, the cornerstone. You mean the foundation of this whole thing? In whom the whole structure being joined together grows into a Kodash temple in Yahuwah. In him you also are built together in a dwelling place for Yahuwah by the Ruach. So all that's built. This is Galatians chapter 5, 7 through 24. You were running well. Who hindered you from obeying the truth? He's like, your brother compel you to go 1 mile, go 2. He said, man, you were running good, though. Why do you think he says, your brother compel you to go 1 mile, go 2? What this is? The second pasuk. That's why he say, your brother compel you to go 1 mile. Matter of fact, go 2. He said, man, you were running well. Who hindered you from obeying the truth? This persuasion is not from him who calls you. He said, I didn't do that. A little leaven leavens the whole lump. So you look at yourself. He said, what was that didn't make me not obey the truth? Oh, you mean it was a little leaven? Where did that little leaven come from? Desire, want, flesh, things you desire, and then that creates leaven. For you were called to freedom, brothers and sisters. Only do not use your freedom as an opportunity for the flesh, but through love serve one another. That's what ahaba is. Love, ahaba. Love fruit. That's what it is, isn't it? You know what it is? Tain, bakura, love fruit. Dauda, love fruit. For the whole law is fulfilled in one word. You shall love your neighbor as you love yourself. Love fruit. Ahaba. But if you bite and devour one another, love fruit. Ahaba. Because you got to netzar your fruit, your tongue. It tends to the figs. Watch out that you are not consumed one another. Why? Because that's all evil fruit. That's good and evil tree you ain't supposed to eat from. So when you have a good and evil battle, you don't need to eat any of those words. You don't need to eat any of those words between two people, between groups. When you have a good and evil battle like that, you don't eat none of those words of that tree. Ignore it. Overlook. Put on your tikfurah. Overlook it. Because if you don't, you're going to surely die if you continue to eat it. Over and over again in a fight, in a quarrel. You're going to continue to eat it. Verse 16, but I say, walk in the Ruach, and you will not gratify the desires of the flesh. That's what happens. You put on your tikfurah, and you will overlook the rebellion, pasha. And you put on strength. For the desires of the flesh are against the Ruach. That's good, that tree of good and evil. You can't you can't eat it. When you have those battles, when you have those fights, when you have those words, those things that come out of your mouth, you don't need to eat it. Because if you eat it, you're going to believe it. And how a man thinketh, or a woman, you're going to be it. So is he. So destroy it. Don't eat it. Don't listen to it. Circumcise your ear in those situations. Or uncircumcise it. The desires of the Ruach are against the flesh, for these are opposed to each other. That's why he says good and evil. You have those fights and those quarrels, don't eat the food of that. Don't eat it. To keep you from doing the things you want to do. Because you got to do the word, the bar. Forget all the other stuff. But if you are led by the Ruach, you are not under the law. Now the works of the flesh are evident. Sexual morality. Impurity. Sensuality. Idolatry, right? Sorcery. Enmity. Strife. That's fighting. That's the tree of good and evil. Enmity. Tree of good and evil. Jealousy. That's the tree of knowledge of good and evil. You don't need to eat that. Once you turn into that tree of the knowledge of good and evil, you don't need to eat those fruits. Fits of anger. That's all the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Once that stuff starts to manifest, don't eat any of it. Don't. Dissension. That's all the knowledge of good and evil. Divisions. That's all it's about. It creates dividing. That's why Yahusha said a house divided against itself cannot stand. So Satan cast out Satan. You got two trees of the knowledge of good and evil, right? Fighting. He's like, yeah, Satan casting out Satan. Their whole kingdom going to be divided. And that's what happens. Envy, drunkenness, orgies, and things like these. I warn you, as I warned you before, and those who do such things will not inherit the kingdom of Yahuwah. He said, I can't let you in the gates. I will not let you in one of those 12 gates. Whether north, south, east, or west. Or whether it's, I won't. But the Ruach of love, the ruach, but the fruit, the ruach, but the ruach of the Spirit is love. The fruit of the ruach, but the fruit of the ruach is love. It's ahava, joy, simcha, peace, shalom, patience, arak, kindness, kasid, goodness, ta'ud, say meo ta'ud, fruit, faithfulness, amuna, gentleness, einu, anas, sana, kana, right? Self-control. Against such there is no law in the Torah to condemn you. What are you going to do, condemn it? And those who belong to Mashiach have crucified the flesh and its passions and desires, right? Right, so therefore let everyone, this is Psalms 32, 6-9, therefore let everyone who is kasid, kind, faithful, offer prayer to Yahuwah at the time he may be found. Surely in the rush of waters they will not reach him. You know what happened to Noah? Because he had his ark already made. In the second month, on the 17th day, it was already in the ark. They will not reach him. You are a hiding place for me and preserve me from trouble. And then what he did, Noah in the ark. You surround me with shouts of deliverance. Hallelujah, Yahuwah. You got me in the ark, right? Even the waters came, right? I will instruct you and teach you in the way you should go. I will counsel you with my eye on you, upon you. I'm watching you. Be not like a horse and a mule without understanding. Don't do it. You ain't no horse. Which must be curbed with bits and bridle, or it will not stay near you. Right? Don't be like that. Therefore, everyone who is kind or kasid or faithful, kind, kudash one, faithful ones, let him offer prayer to Yahuwah when he may be found. Right, this is Psalm 37, 7-11. Be still before Yahuwah, wait patiently for him. Fret not yourself over the one who prospers in the way, over the man who carries out evil devices. Refrain from anger and forsake wrath. Fret not yourself, it tends only to anger. Matter of fact, fret not yourself, it tends only to evil. Or you mean it tends to the what? The evil fruit. The male raw ta'in, the real bad evil figs. It tends to the evil figs on your fig tree. That's why it says in the Pale Patriarch, he said when one prospers, he said pray for perfect prosperity. So you won't be tending your evil figs in your fig tree. For evildoers shall be cut off. He said, man, they're going to be cut off eventually. But those who wait for Yahuwah shall inherit the Edots. He said, eventually that king of Assyria will get cut off. He said, you trusting in Yahuwah? What kings, what lands have delivered you out of my hand? Eventually they're going to be gone. In just a little while, the wicked will be no more. That's why he's a man. Eventually they'll be gone. They talking. Trash talking. But though you look carefully at his place, he will not be there. But the meek shall inherit the earth. That's why he said, the people answered him not a word. The people answered him not a word. And delight themselves in the abundance of shalom. The people were walking by the ruach and not by the flesh. And not quarreling back and forth with the king of Assyria. When he was boasting about how he was the king of kings and master of masters. They just been quiet and keeping shalom. Knowing that Yahuwah's heard your words. And just by you even saying those words out of your mouth, it's already destined for you to not be here anymore on earth, right? And that's how you gotta be. The meek is Aynu. That word for meek is Aynu. Poor, humble, afflicted, meek, needy, humble, lowly, poor, afflicted. Right? And that's all a part of it, right? This actually the Shalakim, how demons get power over men, women, and children. Therefore, demons, as we have just said, when once they have been able by means of opportunities afforded them to convey themselves through base and evil actions. It's a raw fruit. Raw ta'in, raw figs. In the bodies of men, women, and children, the actions of them. Their actions. That's the whole point. If they remain in them a long time through their own negligence, because they do not seek after what is profitable for their inner beings, they necessarily compel them for the future to fulfill the desires of the demons that dwell in them. So all these things, These demons are tending to your evil figs. They tend to it. That's why they crave certain things in order for them to fulfill that desire of the demon inside. So they crave it in order to water that root in that terrible fruit you got. But what is worst of all, at the end of the age, when the demon is co-signing the ageless fire, of necessity the Ruach also that obeyed him will with him be tortured in ageless fires with this body it has polluted. Because this all wants your body. It's polluted it. Right? That's all it's trying to do. This Romans 12:1. I appeal to you, therefore, men, women, and children, by the mercy of Yahuwah, you present your bodies a living sacrifice, Qahalath and acceptable to Yahuwah, which is your spiritual worship. Right? There's many things you can do. Haggah, right? He say prayer, palal, saum, I say sum, fasting. There's many things you can do. Right? Silence, quietness. They say reading, studying, all these things that one does, right? Good deeds, mainly sharing, right? These are all part of tending to the good fruit. Loving your neighbors, you love yourself. Husband loving your wife, Isha, as you love your body, or your Nashim, just like you love your body. Right? Care one for another. Right? Not arrogant or boastful or rude. Right? None of these things. Do not be conformed to this world, because they want you to conform to it. Even though it's a deception, but Shaitan is a son of Elohim. He a rebelled son of Elohim. So please don't be thinking he ain't a son of Elohim. He's just a rebellious son of Elohim. And he knows how to manipulate you with the very debar that you know, because he a rebellious son. So he know how to manipulate it with it and make you transgress it or make you worship him with it. He know how to do it. But be transformed by the renewal of your mind, that by testing you may discern, because you ain't those who are undiscerning in Enoch, and who do not receive these books, and who do not delight in them, but are burdened by them. Terrible judgment is awaiting them. Because he gonna use. You think Satan ain't gonna use them books? Satan gonna use all that to deceive you. That you may discern what the will of Yahuwah is, what is good and acceptable and perfect. Philippians 3:12-21. Not that I have already obtained or that I am already perfect, but I press on and make it my own, because Mashiach has made me his own. Verse 14. I press toward the goal of the prize of the upward call of Yahuwah in Mashiach Yahusha. Let those who are mature think this way. And if anything you think otherwise, Yahuwah will reveal that also to you. So if you're doing the morning, evening sacrifices, if you're doing the proper technique as a Kohanim, when I say technique, that means technique. It's like a person doing a jump shot on a basketball, or doing a certain movement in a back pedal, or doing certain things in sports, or a technique when it comes to hand movements, right? A technique when somebody waves in a jet. You know, everybody has techniques that they do, right? A technique when somebody puts a syringe in somebody, right? All these things that people do. Only let us hold true to what we have attained. Man, woman, and children, join in imitating me, right? Skipping to verse 18. For many of whom I have often told you, and I'll tell you with tears, walk as enemies of the cross of Mashiach, totality. Their end is destruction, and their God is their belly. And their kabod is their shame, and they mind earthly things. That's why the king of Assyria was saying all these things, but he's like, man, we don't even answer you not a word. He was talking about all the carnal things he was going to take from them. And then after he takes all your carnal things, then he's going to offer you something in return. That's what Satan does. He takes everything from you. Then he offers something to you in return for worship. Trust me. You let me rule over you, I'm gonna give you your own vineyard. I'm gonna give you your own fig tree. You're gonna be sitting on your own, and you're gonna have your own cistern. Just don't trust in Yahuwah no more. That's all he say. Just don't trust in Yahuwah no more. I give you all that. And the people said, we ain't answer you not a word. And that's what you gotta do with him, because that's what Satan do. For many of whom I have told you, And I tell you, with tears, our enemies are crossing Mashiach. Their end is destruction, and their God is their belly, and the kabod is their shame, with minds set on earthly things. But our citizenship is in the Shamayim. So, what do you think this Pasach, second Pasach, just like the first Pasach, and this is the second one, and then you end it on the 21st day, what do you think it is? It's a citizenship. It's making you a citizenship of the first Shamayim. That's all it is doing. It's putting you registered now. You know how they say you registered? You know how people get citizenship of country and they be like, they hold a certificate. For from it we await a savior, a Yasha, Master Yahushua Mashiach. We're waiting for the actual kingdom to come down here. We already read about it. Who will transform our lowly bodies to be like his magnificent body. He said, you're going to take this body celestial, burn it up, and allow me to see you face to face. By the power that enables him to subject all things to himself. Right? So this is Romans chapter 8, 6 through 11. For to set your mind on the flesh is death, but to set your mind on the Ruach is life and shalom. For the mind that is set on the flesh is hostile to Yahuwah. For it does not submit to Yahuwah's law. Indeed, it cannot. Those who are of the flesh cannot please Yahuwah. You, however, are of the flesh, are not of the flesh, but in the Ruach. In fact, the Ruach of Yahuwah dwells in you. Anyone who does not have the Ruach of your Mashiach does not belong to him. Yahuwah, Mashiach, like, I don't want nothing to do with you. But if Mashiach Yahushua is in you, although the body is dead because of sin, the Ruach of life because of righteousness. If the Ruach of him who raised Yahushua up from the dead dwells in you, he who raised Mashiach Yahushua from the dead will also give life to your mortal bodies through the Ruach that dwells in you. That's the whole point. Romans 13, 12 through 16. So Yahushua also suffered outside the gate in order to sanctify the people through his own blood. Therefore, let us go to him outside the camp and bear the reproach he endured. For here we have no lasting city. What city are we seeking for? But we seeking the city that's to come, because this is a city coming from the Shamayim, above the Rakia. From the first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh Shamayim. With 12 gates, with 12 foundations. Inscribed with the 12 Shalakim. With 12 gates. 3 to the north, 3 to the south, 3 to the east, and 3 to the west. Like the 4 transition times of the 364-day cycle. According to the 4 portals and the 7 celestial circles. Why would I be seeking the kingdom on earth? Why? It's a crystal, like jasper stone. And guess what? Through him, let us continually offer the sacrifice of praise to Yahuwah. That is the fruit of the lips that acknowledge his name. Because that's your figs. If you don't tend to your netzar, to your fruit of your lips, you will never acknowledge his name with any praise to him. It ain't just got to be a song. It needs to be praise. Be like, I just respect Yahuwah's word. I respect his debar. That's praise. You say that. Halal Yahuwah. Halal debar. Yahuwah Elohim, right? Do not neglect to do good. So that tends to good fruit, good figs. If you neglect it, what fruit you think you're going to bear? If you don't do good, look at all the evil in the world. If you don't do good, what do you think you're going to do? You're going to do evil. I don't want to do good. I don't care. Then don't do good then. And then you'll see. You'll see what happens. Do not neglect to do good. And share what you have. So you don't want to share your fruit. So you get fruit. You got all that fruit. Kindness, how George pays meat, temperance, and muna. You got wisdom, knowledge, understanding. You got the bar. You got all that, all this finance, all these things you got. What good is having all these things? It's better to give than to receive. It's better to give than to receive, right? Because giving holds a lot more weight. It do. For such sacrifices are pleasing to Yahuwah. You know what people do? They want to slice somebody's throat, hang it on the thing, and let it drain out the blood. Right? That's what they want to do as a sacrifice. You ain't keeping Yahuwah's law if you don't do it like that, right? These are all a part of people's mindset, because their mind is set on earthly things. And they kabod is their belly. That's all they think about. I'm finna baptize this thing. You know how they say he baptized. You know how they put that thing in there and they baptize that snake. They be baptizing a boar, right? They be baptizing that thing, right? And that thing, anaconda, right? They be feeding your mind with it. I'm gonna baptize this ox, right? Yeah, go ahead and baptize it. But guess what? Do not neglect to do good. That's the good fruit, right? And share what you have. For such sacrifices pleasing you. That's a good heart. But let me enlighten your eyes a little bit more about what Yahuwah commanded you to put in your mouth, right? That's all Yahushua was like. You got a good heart. You like to share, right? You like to do good. You like to do that. But let me enlighten your eyes a little bit more of what Yahuwah really wants. Right? And that's the whole point. That's the whole point, though. Psalms 119, 160 through 166. The Dayabar is true, Amah. That's praise right there. There you go. That's some praise right there. Dayabar is truth. It's true, or Amah. From the beginning, right? Just like we said from the beginning. Rosh. Right? That's the beginning. The head. I saw a woman clothed with the sun. The woman is clothed with the Shamash, which means she understands 364 sides, the 7 celestial circles, which means she understands the understanding of it, which means now, and every one of thy righteous judgments endureth forever. I liken my judgment to a circle. Prince Sar have persecuted me without a cause, but my heart stand in awe of thy debar. That's praise right there, just saying that. I rejoice at thy debar. There you go, some praise. As one that findeth great spoil. Man, I found this praise right here. I hate and abhor lying, because the righteous hate falsehood. If you don't, you're going to tend to evil fruit. But thy law do I love. You know why? Because he ain't hostile to it. Because he's like, man, I got beat down. Yahuwah done. He done did a whole bunch of stuff. Dawid like, man, he done did a whole bunch of stuff to me. He said, the only thing I love that Turah, that law, right? 7 times a day do I praise the law of thee because of thy righteous judgments. He said, because he like his judgment to a circle. He like, them 7 celestial circles, that's what the 7 times a day represent. His 7 celestial circles when he judges you. What do you think these 49 days are for? 7 times 7 is 49. He does this every single week, or every single day, for every single week, which equals 13. So he going all the way through. Great shalom have they which love thy Torah, and nothing shall offend them. He say, ain't nothing gonna offend them. Yahuwah, I have hoped for thy Yeshua and done thy commandments. He say, so have you done it? That's the whole point of it. If you done it, boom. What is your hope? Aleph Yuchanan 2, 24 to 28. Let what you heard from the beginning abide in you. And what you heard from the beginning abides in you, and what you heard from the beginning abides in you, then you too will abide in the Son and in the Father. And this is the promise he has made to us, eternal life. I write these things about those who are trying to deceive you. But the anointing you receive from him abides in you, and you have no need that anyone should teach you. But as his anointing teaches you about everything, and it's true and is no lie, just as it is taught you, abide in him. Because he said you are in the Son and in the Father. The life of the house and the strength of the house. And now, little children, abide in him, so that when he appears, you may have confidence and not shrink from him in shame at his coming. Why? Because this is the promise he has made to us. The promise of the Kohanim is Yahuwah. The inheritance of the Kohanim is Yahuwah and the promise. That's the whole point of this. But the anointing that you receive in him abides in you. It should already be in you. Which means that all the understanding of it should be in you. And then when it's over, you hand it over to somebody else, and then guess what? They do the same thing. Right? So this is Sirach 3, 17 to 23. My son and daughter, go on thy business and ain't new. So shalt thou be beloved of him that is approved. The greater thou art, the more humble thyself, and thou shalt find favor before Yahuwah. Many are in high place and renown, but mysteries are revealed unto the meek, the ain't new. For the power of Yahuwah is great, and honor with the lowly. Seek not out things that are too hard for thee, neither search for things that are above thy strength. But what is commanded thee, think thereupon with reverence. For it is not needful for thee to see with thine eyes the things that are in secret. What do you mean? what is commanded, think with reverence. Because you're supposed to have a reverential admiration and awe and extreme respect for Yahuwah Elohim. Matter of fact, in a hushed tone. In a hushed tone, in a tone that's pleasing to him when his debar is spoken. Because when the debar is spoken, it should quiet everything. It's like when Shaul spoke in the Hebrew tongue. When the debar is spoken, it's like, oh, let me shut up. Because if I don't, I might end up saying something rash against Yahuwah, and I need to shut up. That's the whole point. For it is not needful for thee to see with thine eyes the things that are in secret. Be not curious in unnecessary matters, for more things are showed unto thee than men, women, and children understand. Right, so this is the last thing. This is the essence of peace, essence of truth, essence of peace, right? So this is the communions, page 265. Page 265. And on the fifth evening after the Shabbat, right, so we're going into, where are we going into? Actually, we're going into the sixth evening, right? We're going into the sixth evening. Right? And on the sixth evening after Shabbat, say these words, Malach of wisdom, descend on me and fill with wisdom all my thoughts. Because you need Hakmah wisdom. Why? Because that's the only way you're going to understand all this. Know, sons of light, that your thoughts are as powerful as the bolt of lightning that stabs through the storm and splits asunder the mighty tree. That's why they have different experiments where they show the mind lighting up, just like you see lightning in the sky when it activates. It was for this that you have waited 7 years to learn how to speak with the Malachim. He said, man, you waited 7 years. Man, you know what the Jubilee is? Matter of fact, you know how long 7 celestial circles is? He's like, man, you waited 7 years. But guess what? For you know not the power of your thoughts, for you don't know them yet. Your makasba, your yetzer, your imagination. The power of your thoughts create healing. If Yahushua sent a healing thought, or you thought a healing thought for somebody, guess what? It will happen. If you think healing thoughts, Rafa, it will happen. If you think these things, right? Use then wisdom in all you think and say and do. That's why I said a virtuous woman, she said her mouth was a law of kindness, and wisdom was in her mouth. That's what it said, a kayil. Right? But it says, that's why I said wisdom is stronger than 10 rulers, shouting rulers who are on the city. Hakmah. And guess what? Use then wisdom in all you think and say and do. For I tell you truly, that which is done without wisdom is as a riderless horse. He said, man, it's like a riderless horse. It's like nobody riding a horse. It's like a wild horse. Nobody controlling it. No self-control whatsoever. He said, you're like a riderless horse. You're like a horse and a mule. He's like, man, you're going to have to, don't be like them with bits and bridle like a horse. You won't stay near. It says, that which is done without wisdom is as a riderless horse, mouth foaming and eyes wild, running crazed into a yawning chasm, just running right into a ditch and just jumping off the cliff and jumping in a chasm. But when the Malach of wisdom governs your deeds, then is the path of the unknown realms established, and in order and harmony governs your lives. And these are the communions with the Malachim which are given to the sons of light, and with the bodies purified by the earthly mother. And guess what? And the Ruachs and the spirits purified by the Shamayim Father, that they, his Heavenly Father, they may command and serve the Malachim continually, from period to period. From what? From period to period. How many periods are there? 7. You know what Nebuchadnezzar, what did he do? He said he was down, he had, that very moment, he hit the ground like an ox. And he grew eagle's claws. And after the 7 periods, he baraked Yahuwah's name. Didn't he do that? So from period to period, in the circuits of the day, or you mean the circles of the day, in the fixed order, what's fixed order? In the fixed order of the 364-day cycle, with the coming light from its source, and at the turn of the evening, and the outgoing of light. Talking about the sun. I saw a woman clothed with the sun. I saw an Isha clothed with the sun. And at the outgoing of darkness, and the coming of the day, I saw a woman clothed with the sun. You know what else it says? Continually. Continually in all generations of time. The truth is born out of the spring of light. Falsehood from the well of darkness. Now you see why righteous hate falsehood. Matter of fact, they hate lying too. The dominion of all the children of truth is in the hands of the Malachi of light, so that they may walk in the way of light. For the commandments and lamp and the teaching is light. The Torah is light. And reproof and instructions is the way of life. And guess what? Blessings on the son, all the sons of light who has cast their lot with the law, that walk truthfully in their ways. May the law barak you with all good and keep you from all evil, and illumine your hearts with insights from the things of life, and calm you, grace you with knowledge of the things eternal. Rest, forget what it says right here. And the crescent moon, I saw a woman clothed with the sun, and the moon was under her feet, and she had stars, right? 12 stars, right? A crown, right? And the crown and the crescent moon of peace rose over the mountains, and silvers of light shone in the waters of the rivers. You mean the reflection shone in the rivers. And you say, why did the other people, the tribes, they would use the river water with the water, and they would look up at the stars, and they would look up and they would see the reflection in the water. And the sons of light, as one man, knelt in reverence and thanksgiving for the words of Yahusha. You know what people do? They despise the words of Yahusha because they want to be more intelligent than Yahusha. And they say, man, I want to be more smarter than Yahusha. That's why they despise his word. Why would you despise Yahusha's word? Because you want to be more intelligent than Yahusha Mashiach. There's no way you can do that. You would literally have to kill him. That's the only way you're going to be able to be more intelligent than Yahusha. You're going to have to literally kill him. And he taught them in the ancient ways. Stay in the ways and see. And that's for the ancient way, which is the good way. Oh, you mean the good fruits. That's where the good fruits come from. And when you find it, you'll find rest for your soul. You'll find rest for your soul. And he taught them in the ancient ways of their fathers, even as Enoch was taught of old. And Yahusha said the law was planted to reward the children of light. With healing. With healing. And abundant shalom. With long life, with fruitful seed and everlasting blessings. Where did we read that at? I didn't even have it in here because I know people were tired of hearing it. Dead Sea Scrolls, 4Q257. They were tired of hearing it, so I just read out another book, right? Just so they won't have to hear it no more again, because I know they don't want to hear that no more. So then I said, you know what? I'll read it again. Here we go. With fruitful seed of everlasting blessings and eternal joy and immorality of eternal life. There we go. Now we read it in another book, so now you feel good. With the coming of the day, I saw a woman clothed with the sun. I embraced my mother. Jerusalem above is free. And he's the mother of us all. Matter of fact, it had 12 gates too. 12 foundations with 12 Shalakim. It's built upon the foundation of the Shalakim and the Nabiim too. With the coming of the night, I joined my father. And with the outgoing of the evening and the morning. He said, I join my Father Yahuwah, right? This is the last thing. And I will breathe their law. And I will not interrupt. And I will not interrupt. You can't stop. I will not interrupt these communions until the end of time. You can't stop. You know, I said you can't stop. Can't stop. So we look at all that. We look at Yahushua Mashiach. We look at the light of life. We look at the true light, which is like every man that comes into Torah. Knowing that the understanding of Yahushua Mashiach on the 364-day cycle is true. And it's no lie. And it's fixed. Before the foundation of the world. Before the rivers, before the streams, before even the foundations. Before anything was established. Before even male and female was even born. Before your hairs of your hair even grew. Even on this day. Before you even anything or your fingernails even grew. Or even the things that one even understands within themselves. Yahuwah was here before the foundation of the world. So we look at everything that he's given and everything he's taken away and the love and compassion that he extended to us with his yard and his car. So we live in this world, we are not of it. And to live in this world, we know that we must walk on in meekness and Aydah. This is Sirach 3:23. But be not curious at unnecessary matters, for more things are shown unto thee than men, women, and children understand. For the meek shall inherit the earth. The Aydah, the meek shall inherit the Aydah.